Good morning. KSL News Time is 9 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Tim Hughes. Let's take a look at our top story this hour. Utahns have been keeping vacations a little closer to home this year. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
Utah ranks as one of the top 10 states with the highest percentage of in-state travel, according to Airbnb. Their data shows that during the first half of this year, over 30% of Utah customers booked Airbnbs within state lines. Reports show local travel is becoming increasingly popular, with rentals by Airbnb guests within 300 miles of their home nearly doubling over the last 5 years.
The most in-state travel during the first half of the year happened in California, with more than 60% of Californians renting Airbnbs in their state. Heads up, Weber County drivers, UDOT will be working on the Monte Cristo Highway near the Cache National Forest. There will be no through traffic from 10 p.m. tonight until 7 tomorrow morning. It's possible the road work could continue into tomorrow night. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Israeli military says it has rescued one of the hostages abducted in Hamas' October 7th attack. Hamas-led militants, abducted some 250 people in the October 7th attack, in which some 1,200 people, mostly civilians, were killed. Israel's retaliatory offensive has killed over 40,000 Palestinians, according to local health officials. Your money at this moment, the markets are mixed. The Dow down, but just 8. The S&P is up less than 11, and the NASDAQ with gains now of about 46 points. Coming up, boy, we haven't been able to say this very often throughout 2024, but near normal temperatures. We'll check a beautiful forecast next. KSL News Time 9:02.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Well, I've reached another milestone on my journey with soda weight loss. It's 6 months since I hit my goal and let go of 70 pounds of fat weight. And in those 6 months, I've managed to keep it off and still enjoy all the benefits of my journey, including a new wardrobe, a new sense of self-confidence, and most important of all, a set of new habits that are healthy and that will last me for the rest of my life. This is what makes soda so amazing. Of course, it's spelled S-O-T-A. I've now been enjoying the benefits of soda weight loss longer than it took me to let go of the fat in the first place. So think about, where do you want to be in 4 to 5 months? Start the program now and you could be down 50, 60, even 70 pounds by the holidays. Imagine showing your family and friends the new transformed you at Christmas. Check them out for yourself. Go to sotaweightloss.com. That's sotaweightloss.com and see for yourself why soda is #1 for client results and client satisfaction. SOTA stands for, say it with me, state of the art.
Kids are back in the classroom, and at Central Bank, they understand the importance of forming good financial habits at an early age and encouraging kids to succeed in the classroom. Central Bank's Youth Smart Savings Account rewards students for great grades. Central Bank will reward your child grades 6 through 12 for every A or A- earned on each report card, up to $32 per school year. They'll also match your child's opening deposit up to $20. And if earning a higher interest rate than a regular savings account isn't enough, they'll also let your youngsters choose from their treasure chest with each in-person savings deposit. Open a Youth Smart Savings Account for your child, teen, or grandchild and teach them to save early. Central Bank's Youth Smart Savings Account is the smartest, hardworking children's savings account around. Visit them online at cbutah.com or in person at one of their 12 Utah County locations. Additional terms and conditions may apply. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In a world where ugly siding, leaky gutters, and inefficient windows are sapping homeowners of their will to live, one company must save us all. This year, join RGS Exteriors as it embarks on a mission to eliminate outdated home exteriors, one Utah home at a time. Every plank of old, ugly siding must be replaced. Every leaky gutter must be eradicated. Every inefficient, energy-sapping window must be vanquished. Once and for all. Begin your epic remodeling quest by calling RGS Exteriors for a free estimate. Discover how a heroic team of experts will save your siding, gutters, or windows for a fair, no-nonsense price. Call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or journey online to rgsexteriors.com. RGS Exteriors, coming soon to a home near you.
Sounds like we still have emergency traffic, so let's find out what's going on out there. Brought to you by Sinclair's Dono Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. Heather Kelly's in the traffic center.
Well, Tim, we're going to start in Spanish Fork. Northbound I-15 from 400 north up to 400 south in Springville is at a crawl. It's due to a crash just before you get to 400 north, blocking the right lane and shoulder. As you continue northbound in Utah County, you'll have more delays from Pioneer Crossing in American Fork all the way to 2100 north in Lehigh due to a rollover crash blocking 3 left lanes of traffic. Then if you're southbound I-15 out of Davis County, you're stop and go from Woods Cross into downtown. That's due to a crash that's now been moved over to the right shoulder, but it had been blocking a couple of left-hand lanes, and now traffic was stopped for a minute to move those cars to the right. When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing exceptional service from 4 dealers: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Truck Country. See performancebountiful.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
It will be a sunny Tuesday today. High's going to get up to about 87 degrees. Tomorrow, much the same. And as I mentioned a minute ago, for the first time in a long time, we're going to be able to talk about normal temperatures. 84 on Thursday, 89 on Friday. No chance of any precipitation to finish out the week. And right now, 66 degrees in Salt Lake City. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Dave, when I heard Kamala Harris and Donald Trump had agreed to debate in September, the moment it was announced, I thought, what are the others going to come up with a reason to back out? And this is kind of what is going on right now with the hot mic debate.
I can't believe debates, whether they're going to happen or not. They used to just be standard. We'd have several debates. I don't know why there's all the drama. How about for the leader of the free world, we just have a couple of people talk it out for a few minutes, maybe 90 minutes, and let's see what happens. But apparently that's too hard for these two candidates. It's 9:08. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
The mute, whether to mute or not to mute, is the dispute for the upcoming presidential debate. Oh, I wonder if this thing's even going to happen, Dave. Should the mics be hot or not? This is what Harris and Trump are sparring over right now.
But I just want to make sure. I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
Remember what it sounded like when the mics weren't muted?
When the mics are both hot, that's what you get. I can't listen to that for 7 seconds, no less, for an hour and a half. The greatest invention ever has been around forever. It's the mute button. And for some reason, this is a hot topic. The mute button should absolutely be the new standard in debates.
Countdown. 2.
Well, we have on our hands a rather unique approach to a statewide cell phone ban in schools. And Utah lawmaker who's spearheading this is going to join the show in our 10 o'clock hour with this pitch. I look at this as more like one of those negative option deals that you get yourself into, right? So just bear with me for a moment. Let me explain. The state, or lawmakers, would ban smartphones in schools. At least that's my read of this pitch so far. And then it would be up to the districts to opt out.
You know, we've just seen the negative impact that cell phones have on the learning environment and on students' mental health and on teachers' ability to effectively teach.
I would like to give a little applause to the legislature for tackling this because you are making yourself the bad guy. And sometimes parents, to do the right thing, have to be the bad guy. So I appreciate the legislature saying, you know what, this is important. It's not going to be super popular with the kids, but we're going to be the adults in the room and ban cell phones. And this, in my opinion, long overdue.
Launch countdown 1.
Well, if you've, let's say, gotten a speeding ticket in Ogden and you wished it would have been a warning, well, our top story is for you. OPD has been working under an evaluation system for its officers that seems to reward an officer with a better score if they issue you a ticket instead of a warning. Well, that system is at the center of controversy.
Tickets. Everyone has an experience with a ticket. Either the close call where you get pulled going, 10 over and they give you a warning, and then the ticket where you go 7 over and you do get a ticket. It's so frustrating. We've always wondered, what determines whether or not I get a warning or a ticket? Ogden PD just peeled back the curtain, and Oz tells us.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
OPD promising changes are on the way. They're going to join the show in 9 minutes to give us an idea of what those changes will look like. But the changes are coming to a police officer evaluation system, and I'm going to walk you through how things were and how things are about to change, Dave. But essentially, if you're wondering why you got a speeding ticket or you wished it would have been a warning instead, this may give you some insight.
I'm ready for this. Go ahead, lay it out for me. Explain what determines whether I get a warning or a ticket.
I think the Standard Examiner did a good job breaking down how officers were gaining extra points on their evaluations. I mean, everybody's been evaluated at work for performance, right? Mm-hmm. And so just, this is for officers and how they were being evaluated. So here's how it's been. As part of the evaluation process on how they were performing, a citation, so in other words, a ticket, that's a fancy way of saying you got a speeding ticket. And it's not just speeding ticket specific. I'm just using that as an example. But a citation was weighted more heavily than a warning.
Wow. That is brand new information for me. I had no idea that when they're evaluating, they're trying to determine whether or not you did a good job. They're looking at how many citations you've written or how many warnings you've written. And you're saying that it's more favorable to have written more citations versus warnings.
The way the system was laid out, my read of it is you get rewarded more points for issuing a citation than you would if, hey, I gave Dave Noriega a warning.
So as you explain it, it sounds to me that it would be career malpractice to give someone a warning. If you're going to go to the effort of pulling someone over, just write him a ticket. It's better for your job.
The mayor saying that this led to a perception that officers might be incentivized.
A perception?
To issue tickets rather than give warnings. So under their new revised policy, or how they'll evaluate all police activities, whether it's an arrest, a police report, an interview, a citation, or a warning, they're now weighted equally. They'll all get the same amount of points.
This makes so much sense. It makes so much sense because you don't want to incentivize arrests or detaining somebody or just handing out tickets left and right. You don't want to incentivize that. I do see where you would weigh how often you're doing real police work, which involves all these things that we just mentioned. I get that. You do want to have a little bit of a scorecard where you can see, is somebody out there working or are they just sitting in their car all day eating donuts?
Well, now
Did I hit all the stereotypes on that?
I'll be weighted equally. Have you ever gotten a ticket?
Of course.
Okay. Think about how it affects your life.
Oh, yeah.
And how you wish it would have been a warning. All the things that a ticket brings to your life, you got to go to court. You might risk your insurance rates going up, right? If you decide to take a plea in abeyance before a judge, they're like, well, you got to go to traffic school now. So you're not going to give up a Saturday. Oh, and by the way, you gave up a day at work to go to court. And again, you wished it would have been a warning. Well, I'm sure after you hear this story, you're curious as to, did this somehow affect you? Did this somehow affect your life? Did this somehow affect your insurance rates? Did this somehow affect the fact that you ended up in court? Instead of getting a warning where you got to correct the behavior, you had to go to court. We're going to ask the Ogden Police Department in 3 minutes why this policy has been in place.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
If you have a family member or a loved one that is struggling with addiction, whether they're currently in recovery or they just need help, let me tell you about Renaissance Ranch. Because Renaissance Ranch wants to help the entire family, and they do it through free family support services. What that means is online classes. You can join an online class and gain some of those skills you need to help that loved one that is battling addiction.
They're, as you've said, free. They're open to the public. And these classes are taught from a spouse's, a parent's, and a personal perspective.
They also offer a women's support group, a couples recovery group. Renaissance Ranch has been doing this for more than 20 years.
And they treat the entire family, and that's through these free online classes. These are educational classes for family members. And again, they're open to the public.
They've been very popular. In fact, more than 1,000 people attended these classes last month. So if you're interested, go ahead and visit their website, renaissanceranch.com. That's renaissanceranch.com.
The Cougars are back in the business of rivalry.
We have TCU and Baylor, but at the top is Utah and BYU.
The big time in the Big 12 just got bigger.
The Cougars win it! The Cougars win it! And here come the fans!
4 days to the season kickoff. BYU, Southern Illinois. Listen to Cougar Tracks for updates each day. 7:55 in the morning and 5:55 in the afternoon on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
It's complicated. These days, that's how people even describe their relationship status. When it comes to the latest complexities in your car, it's gotten really complicated. The experts at AMCO undergo the most rigorous training to stay on top of the latest car technologies, so there's nothing we can't fix. Well, except for that complicated relationship. When it comes to that, you're on your own. AA, MCO. Check engine light on? We'll check it for free.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Mr. Mac, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, prom, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Mac is there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
Are you within 5 years of filing for Social Security? Get this. 96% of Americans forfeit an average of $111,000 in Social Security income. And it's all because they filed for their benefits at the wrong time. Learn how you could avoid this with a free, customized Social Security analysis from Boss Retirement Solutions, 5-time winners of the Best of State Award. If you've saved more than $200,000 for retirement and have not filed for Social Security, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-896-9622. You know, for some people, filing for Social Security early could result in more net income in retirement. Discover how you could get the most income from Social Security. Call 801-896-9622. 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Traffic brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app, and we still have a crash northbound I-15 in Springville. It's blocking the right lane and shoulder. Traffic backed up well into Spanish Fork. As you continue northbound, you'll have big delays from Pioneer Crossing and American Fork to 2100 North in Lehigh, also due to a rollover crash with gravel that has 3 left lanes blocked, so traffic at a crawl there. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, 8 people have now died in the state this year in boating-related accidents, most often seen when someone swims off a watercraft and gets too far away or the watercraft drifts away. Second, firefighters in North Carolina are issuing a safety warning after a battery-operated children's book overheated and caught fire inside of a van. And third, the merger between entertainment giant Paramount and media company Skydance is set. It should get desperately needed cash into the legacy studio that has struggled to adapt to the streaming world. We're going to look for a high today of 87 degrees and right now 66 in Salt Lake City. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
If you have gotten a speeding ticket in Ogden and you wished it would have been a warning, well, this conversation that we're continuing right now, in a moment with Ogden PD, is certainly for you. Because we're learning that OPD has been working under an evaluation system for its officers that essentially rewards an officer with a better score if they issue you a ticket instead of a warning.
If I'm an officer and I pull somebody over, I would give them a ticket every single time. If it was justified, I would give them a ticket every single time. If it betters my career, if it looks better at the end of the year in my annual meeting with the boss, and he's like, well, Dave, it looks like you handed out 6 million tickets. You are now sergeant, right? I don't know what the reward is.
That's not how it works. Lieutenant Will Farr with the Ogden Police Department. We definitely want to walk through this policy with you and how OPD is going to make changes. But let's start here. This policy about, I want to say, just rewarding officers with a better score for issuing a citation over a warning. How long has that been around?
Sure. So it's actually, we know that there's been a perception of, there's this quota or that officers need to write citations in order to get a better evaluation. And when Mayor Nadolski came into office, he met with our department heads and he looked over our policies to see what we could do to make sure that this perception was alleviated. In the past, there was a higher score that was given for different police activities, such as a citation versus a warning. What we've done, though, and this has actually already been put into place, actually a few months ago, there was a committee that was comprising members of all the bureaus of the department, and they reviewed the evaluation process to come up with a fair and equitable way to be able to evaluate in a way that was better situated to really address public safety concerns and not try to have this perception of rewarding officers for writing citations. So they changed the evaluation to where every police action, whether it's a citation, a warning, or a field investigation, are all weighed equally. So there is no incentive given for writing a citation as compared to writing a warning comparatively.
So can you give us an idea? What was the thinking behind weighing a citation more heavily than, say, a warning?
Sure, and what ends up happening is a lot of times when our officers go out on different activities, whether it's a DUI or a citation or an investigation, it's really time that they spend on those different things. And so a lot of the weight was dependent on the amount of time that they would have to spend on that compared to something else. And we wanted to reward and still want to reward officers that are just doing excellent work and hard work. And that's one of the reasons why we really changed it, though, to where we don't want there to be a perception or a thought process that we're rewarding officers for doing one thing over another. We just want officers to serve the community the best way that they can by giving them the discretion to be able to do whatever is needed for each situation, regardless of whether it's time constraints or not time constraints. We want them to be able to effectively use those tools in their tool belt, so to speak, to be able to resolve a concern that's in the community.
We're talking live with Lieutenant Will Farr of the Ogden Police Department over the system that they've changed. It's a police evaluation system where in the past, officers in Ogden have been rewarded with a higher evaluation score when they would issue a citation over a warning. What was the end result for an officer who got a higher score? And what I mean by that is, did they get some sort of a pay raise? Did they get an incentive reward or a bonus if they got a higher evaluation score?
So one of the things that should be understood, too, is in the past, even those evaluation scores, there was different weights that were given to different activities. However, there was no requirement to write a citation. It was a perception based on the fact that there was a score. However, there were many different things that officers could do. They could still write warnings. They could give parking citations. They could go out and write reports on calls for service. They could do any of those things, and they had different weighted scores. They could still get a full evaluation based on a full weighted score without writing a single ticket even at that time. It was just a perception based on the fact that there was a higher score given to that, but there were also other things within the department that were even given a higher score than citations. It was all based on the officer's time and commitment to that call. Again, it was primarily to try to just reward officers for the amount of time and the things that they were doing as far as work and working hard. And at this point, even those scores, there was no one that didn't get a raise during that period of time or that didn't get a higher evaluation based on not writing citations, because they were all able to get their scores in other areas.
Okay, so what you're saying then is that no police officer at the Ogden PD benefited financially over this past policy.
Correct. But what we did do is we also understood what that perception looked like based on those weighted scores. And that's one of the reasons why, like I said, Mayor Nadolski, along with our police administration, decided to go and look at a better way to make everything fair and equitable across the board, to where there was no perception that we were going to reward someone that had, say, a warrant arrest or a felony arrest or a citation or any of those things over giving a warning. Even right now, our officers at times are called to concerns within neighborhoods because of speeding. We don't require that they write citations. What we want them to do is we want them to use their discretion to be able to determine what the best way to have the correct outcome would be, which means that we want people to speed less. If that means educating people through warning in those areas, we are absolutely great with that. We just want something to be done, because the public of Ogden City, the citizens of Ogden City, deserve to have an officer that's out there working on that situation that's a concern for them in their neighborhood.
Lieutenant Farr, thank you for joining us from the Ogden Police Department.
In the 11 o'clock hour, we're going to swing back to this topic with our KSL legal analyst, Greg Skordas. There has been questions raised, and you heard the lieutenant address this. it's, about quotas, and they said this was not any sort of a police quota in Ogden. However, I think we still need to address that and how that is handled in the state of Utah under state law. And additionally, we'll be taking your live phone calls as well in the 11 o'clock hour, because everybody's had an experience getting a speeding ticket or a warning. And so we're sure you'll have plenty to say about it. Straight ahead, the dispute over the mute button. Harris-Trump sparring over whether to keep the debate mics hot or not. Dave and I have a lot to say about this. We suspect you do too. And certainly the hot mic moment has happened more than once.
$400,000 a year.
Repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
We'll debate it next.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Tim Hughes. Let's take a look at some of our top stories this hour. A Roy man is dead after being hit and killed while crossing a busy street in a crosswalk. This happened at the intersection of 1900 West and 5600 South. Roy police officer Stuart Hackworth says several people who saw what happened rushed to his aid.
There was actually several individuals in vehicles that were headed westbound to a stop at the light that rushed to his aid immediately.
The driver who hit the man stopped to help and has cooperated in the investigation. Police say the man crossing the street with a walker appeared to have the signal to cross. Supporters have raised more than $20,000 for the family of a 10-year-old boy who died after being hit by a truck in Clearfield. Police say he was riding his bike when hit while crossing the street. The driver is cooperating in that investigation as well. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Federal Trade Commission is suing, trying to block a merger of Kroger and Albertsons. They argue that combining the grocery stores would lead to higher prices and fewer jobs for union workers. The grocery chain says the merger will benefit shoppers. Your money at this moment, it's mixed and very narrow trading. The Dow is down about 72 points. It was the only one finishing up yesterday. The Dow the S&P rather, is up, but less than a point, and the NASDAQ is up also, but less than a point right now. Get another look at how the roads are doing. Last time we checked, it was emergency traffic down in Utah County. We'll see if that's still the case. KSL News Time, 9:32.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Using the Labor Day weekend to get some work done? We got you. Stop by any store to save on oil, fuel system cleaner, wipers, and more. Looking for an end-of-summer wash? We've got deals for that too. Don't want to leave the garage? Get same-day delivery on AutoZone.com. Do Labor Day your way by getting something done at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
What's wrong? My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation.
Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card?
Uh-huh.
Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase.
Really?
Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Hi, can I help you?
You don't recognize me?
You look familiar. Have we met?
I'm your property taxes.
Oh, sure. You've gotten bigger.
Guess what?
Come on. No, you can't just... Give me a break.
Rising property values in Utah have led to increased property taxes. Some are struggling due to those increases, but it's time for good news. AARP Utah is here to help. AARP Utah has made it the top priority to connect qualified Utahns to our state's Circuit Breaker program, which offers tax relief to renters and homeowners. If you're over 66 with a household income below $41,000, you might qualify to save up to $1,200 in property tax relief. Don't miss out. The deadline to apply for homeowners is September 1st. For more information and to see if you qualify for up to $1,200 in property tax relief, visit aarp.org/UT. That's aarp.org/UT.
When Dee and I built our new home, and it's almost been 10 years now,
I think of all of the appliances that we put in that house, and I cannot tell you how many of them already we have had some major repairs and even replacements. You know the one thing that I haven't given a second thought to? It's the Connecticut soft water system. It is remarkable. We've had 2 systems in 2 different homes, and not once have we ever called with an issue to my friends at Connecticut. It's time for you to call Connecticut. If you're replacing an old system or if you're building a new home, whatever it might be, you will be amazed at how efficient the Connecticut soft water system is. For example, when your neighbor puts in 3 bags of salt in his or her system, you will be putting in only 1. It's remarkable how efficient it is. Give them a call. Great people to do business with. Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer at 801-576-8600 or go to softwaterutah.com.
Time again for traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents a gallon. And as is usually the case with Heather Kelly, very little going on out there.
Unfortunately, there's a ton going on out there. Northbound I-15 in Utah County, you're going to start off with the delays in Spanish Fork from 400 north all the way to 400 south in Springville. That is due to a crash still blocking the right lane and shoulder. That was a rollover. And as you continue north in Utah County, another rollover just before 2100 north in Lehigh still has 3 left lanes of the freeway blocked. That has traffic backed up almost to Pioneer Crossing in American Fork. You still have delays southbound I-15 coming out of Davis County from Woods Cross all the way to 1700 north, where a crash is now over on the right shoulder, and still a lot of delay on I-15 in the Salt Lake Valley that just hasn't moved itself out. Two Brothers Mattress is having their huge Labor Day sale. Save up to $700 on Tempur-Pedic mattresses. Visit one of their 5 stores and see all their sale prices at twobrothersmattress.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm exhausted just listening to that, actually. Today will be sunny. Highs are going to get up to about 87 degrees. Tomorrow, much the same, and actually it cools off all the way down to 84 degrees by Thursday. Slight chance of showers moving in late in the weekend on Sunday, but only a 10% chance. Right now, sunny skies and 68 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. I'm Tim Hughes. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
The dispute over the mute button. Should mics be hot or not during presidential debates? That's what Trump and Harris are sparring over.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, mister. I'm listening to you. Wait a minute. You get the final word, mister.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question is...
Two hot mics is the worst thing you could possibly do. Just 2 people speaking over each other. It's like listening to your mom and dad argue, and you're just forced to listen to it. It's the worst. How in the world did we let that go on as long as we did?
It's not just Biden and Trump who've struggled with the hot mics. Harris and Pence during the VP debate right here in Utah.
He said because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
no, but Susan, this is important. I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Yeah, let's talk about PAC in the court then. Let's talk about the PAC. Yeah, I'm about to. $400,000 a year.
Repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait,
it's so awkward.
You said the truth.
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation, okay?
Please.
It just, everybody comes off poorly. You know, Vice President Pence came off poorly for interrupting. You know, Vice President Harris sounded condescending. Like, all of it sounded awful and is of no benefit to anybody because I have no idea what they were talking about. Like, they were trying to talk about very important things, and I cannot remember anything because I just remember, I'm speaking, and him like, blah, 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 you know, filibustering her as she's trying to answer. All of it is terrible. When we finally figured out the mute button, that when it's your turn to talk, that we mute the other person, and doesn't matter if they talk or not, you don't hear it on the microphone. This was like some sort of revelation. I'd been calling for it for years. They finally listened to me. You're welcome. And we got the most consequential debate in our nation's history once we installed the mute button.
What do you mean?
President Biden gave the worst debate performance ever. It ended his presidency. His candidacy, I should say.
Because former President Trump wasn't allowed.
He wasn't allowed to interrupt
of the mute
him?
button.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking. Dave Noriega.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking. David.
So what you're saying is because Trump was not allowed by function of a mute button to interrupt President Biden, we saw President Biden in probably one of his worst moments.
Yes, it was painful, but no one bailed him out. The moderator said, you have 90 seconds to answer this. And he would go 30 seconds and trail off and lose his train of thought. And they would tell him, you still have 62 seconds remaining. And he wouldn't have anywhere to go and he would ramble. It was a disaster.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
And the reason that this is bubbling up today is because with the debate scheduled between Harris and Trump for September 10th, it appears that both sides are rumbling over whether to leave the mics hot or not. And a surprising twist to all of this, former President Trump is saying not.
He wants to keep the mics muted.
Of course he does.
Now, I don't know if I truly believe that President Trump wants that because I think he loves jumping in and being able to, throw somebody off their game and get them kind of rattled. He's very good at that. But his handlers, the people that are in his ear, have convinced him somehow that says it's better for you to be quiet. It worked back in 2016 when you were debating Hillary Clinton and you rattled her and you flustered her. You're not flustering anybody now. It's 8 years later. Just be quiet, let the candidate say what they want to, and then really attack the policy. It's shocking that President Trump would listen to his advisors on this because his natural inclination is to be the disruptor and the interrupter.
I think leave the mics hot. You say not.
You like the hot mic moment?
You're kind of taking former President Trump's side on this.
Oh, I take anybody that says mute the mic. That's whose side I take.
I would say going forward, I want to see how both respond, how both carry themselves during a debate. It would kind of be like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like an analogy to this. Like, oh, if I just decided to kill your microphone every time you decided to say something, how would you feel about that? And then it would become the Debbie show, and then we wouldn't be able to see how I could possibly like exhibit any sort of self-control in those moments. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really feel like if you want to become the leader of the free world, then you should be able to allow for conversation to go forward without constant interruption. I think it doesn't give us a really good picture. Now maybe we know because we've seen how they act, both of them act in public, and we've seen more of Harris lately since she announced her intention to run. But maybe we have a good idea already of how both of them act and behave at debates. And so perhaps, but for me, I just feel like just leave the mic hot and see where things go.
I think it works when there's respect. I think it works if there is maybe a friendship or an understanding. You and I know, like if you're saying something and I'm trying to interject, you can give me a look and I'll back off, and vice versa, right? I'll realize, okay, I'll let you finish your thought. But these two, and I'm not just these two, but politicians have no incentive to let you finish your thought and really wrap it up. In fact, they have the perverse incentive of trying to disrupt you and cut you off and take you out of context. They cannot be trusted. The two of them, and I'm saying politicians, the two debating politicians have proven time and time and time again that they cannot be trusted to show respect and let the other person genuinely describe their policy position. So When you lose my trust, you lose your microphone.
Well, but then it's not a debate. And it's just two people individually monologuing on the stage.
That's a good point, too. I mean, you're not wrong, Debbie. But I've heard both, and I will just tell you, I prefer the your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn.
Hot mic or not? 801-575-TALK. Dave and I have had a lot to say about this. Dave's had a lot more than I have about it. We suspect you have a lot to say about it, too. Hot mic or not during the presidential debates. 801-575-TALK. 801-575-TALK.
By the way, our suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like you've never seen.
He would know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
I was
better.
raised.
I just want to make sure.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
None of these 7 people scored the winning touchdown in last year's championship game. None have gone into space or gone on tour with Taylor Swift. Yet 7 special people in the community deserve your attention. And September 7th at the Utah Valley Convention Center, starting at 6 p.m., you can give it to them. Join Community Action Services and Food Bank in celebrating the contributions of 7 extraordinary members of the community. Then see the premiere of the Food and More Store, a pop-up giving experience you can only experience at this event. Plus, you'll have the chance to peek inside their new mobile food pantry. Dinner, live music, entertainment. Get details now on how you can be a part of this exceptional community night. Visit casfb.org and learn more about the evening, the individuals being honored, and how to be there to take it all in. casfb.org. Community Action Services and Food Bank, providing food and more to neighbors in need in Wasatch, Summit, and Utah counties.
Don't be worried. Be ready.
KSL News Radio has partnered with Be Ready Utah to provide the plans your family needs for an emergency, the tools and supplies to keep on hand, and the knowledge on how to keep a cool head.
It's Be Ready Utah. Listen to our show, Dave and Dujanovic, for Be Ready tips and tools.
Or you can always find the latest preparation info at BeReadyUtah.gov.
Be Ready Utah with KSL News Radio.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here, representing Utah's priorities in Congress and providing top-notch constituent services at the heart of everything Team Moore does. We've had great success helping Utahns with expedited passports, visa processing, veterans benefits, immigration petitions, retirement issues, tax returns, and much more. If you need help navigating a federal agency, including the IRS, Social Security, the VA, Immigration Services, or Medicare, please give my office a call at 801-625-0107. That's 801-625-0107. We're also happy to help coordinate U.S. Capitol tours, take your comments, and provide legislative updates anytime. I also want to invite you to sign up for my weekly e-newsletter. We are soon entering what is called the political blackout period leading up to the election, meaning my office cannot reach out with updates and announcements unless you are subscribed to our communications. So sign up today at blakemore.house.gov. It's our honor to serve you and your family in Congress. Thank you. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hey, this is Dan the Laptop Man from PC Laptops. Let me tell you an amazing story. Last week, a customer came in. They were a creative director for an agency, and they were frustrated that their old, slow computer wasn't processing their files quick enough. He had a big project due and could not afford any delays. Well, we hooked him up with one of our new, powerful 2025 desktops for only $999, and he was able to complete his project with ease. Take one home today. The new 2025 S1 desktop or SM3 laptop for only $999. You heard that right, $999. You get a blazing fast processor, 16 gigs of RAM, and over a terabyte of blazing storage for $999. What else you get? Lifetime service warranty, and we have 12 months special financing on approved credit. Hurry in right now because supplies are limited, because at PC Laptops, we love you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. $999, PCLaptops.com.
Beehive Plumbing now offers premier service. 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Call or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
It's me again. And of course, I'm at the annual fall extravaganza at J&J Garden Center in Layton. And what a great time to buy. Right now, all containerized trees, all shrubs, and all perennials are 20% off. You heard me right. J&J's entire inventory of containerized trees, shrubs, and perennials are 20% off their regular price. J&J Garden Center definitely has the best products at the best price, and most definitely the best service, too. But don't take my word for it. Come experience J&J Garden Center for yourself. Take advantage of their incredible fall tree, shrub, and perennial extravaganza. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You've got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home. J&J Garden Center.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Tim Hughes. First, the preliminary hearing for Corey Richins continues today. Prosecutors are laying out their case against her, pushing for a full trial. Yesterday, the evidence mostly focused on her trying to buy the fentanyl that killed her husband. Second, a Roy man is dead after being hit and killed while crossing a busy street in a crosswalk. He was 65 years old. And third, a local nonprofit is trying to tackle the problem of eating disorders by changing the way Utahns think about food and their bodies. We're going to look for a high today of 87 degrees, and right now in Salt Lake City, 68. Back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
By the way, our suburbs would be gone, and you would see problems like you've
He
never
would
seen.
know a suburb unless he took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know suburbs.
He would not.
So much
I was
better.
raised.
You
I just
agree.
want to make sure.
Joe, you're the
I want to make sure.
The debate is over, the dispute is over whether to mute the mics at debates going forward. And Harris and Trump right now are sparring over whether they should have hot mics or not during the upcoming presidential debate in September.
Can we be honest? You wouldn't know a suburb unless you took a wrong turn. That's a great line. That was a great line. It's funny. I get it. The interruptions, the open mics, the chaos. It sounds like, you know what? There's more organization in a World Wrestling Federation ring, than a presidential debate. They're just talking over each other nonstop. It's confusing. I have no idea what they're talking about because every time you have this interruption, little quippy, I'm speaking, it's a distraction.
Because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's
get. No, but Susan, this is important. I want to add. But if, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
All I hear is the condescension. All I hear is the interruption, the rudeness. So when the last debate between President Trump and President Biden, they stepped in and said, you two are completely untrustworthy to actually have a civil debate. We're going to cut your mic. When I ask President Biden a question, that's the only microphone that's going to work. And when it's President Trump's turn, that's the only mic that's going to work. This is something I've been calling for years. It was the world's simplest solution. They finally did it, and we got the most consequential debate in history.
Everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
Because Trump wasn't allowed to interrupt, Biden fell flat.
Exposed himself. And the rumors of him slowing down and not being mentally capable, it was laid bare in front of millions, tens of millions of people. So I thought it was genius. I'm shocked that Vice President Harris wants this live mic, open mic debate style, and President Trump's the one that wants the muted mics. We're taking your phone calls. Amy and Hooper, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to side with Dave on this one. I'm absolutely for the muted mics. And I'll say this if you're putting personalities aside, I think any debate at this point should be muted mics. It was much more substantial. You actually got to hear what people talked about on the issues, and they still had the opportunity to rebut. They had the opportunity to go in and say, no, I don't agree. So there's still the debate factor. It just wasn't the chaotic yelling, and like
It's
you
more
said,
controlled.
the condescending.
Yeah.
I'm speaking. Yes, absolutely.
Well, thanks, Amy.
It was a much better thing.
Yeah, thanks for your phone call. I disagree with it. I disagree with you. Respectfully disagree with Dave on this one. He's all in favor of muted mics going forward for debates. I happen to think that hot mics, open mics are a great way for people to expose who they are and how they act under these circumstances. And I think it does take away. It becomes more of a monologue instead of a debate if you're killing mics every time that person is done speaking. So it's a very controlled environment. I don't mind this sparring back and forth on stage.
Let's hear from John in Bluffdale. What do you think, John?
The mic should be muted, and I say for this reason why. I remember the first debate with Trump and Biden in 2020. I saw how mean and wicked Trump acted, and I never could hardly tell what President Biden was trying to say. Mute the mic.
Mute the mic. Let us hear from them, see if they can articulate their position and their policy. I'm all for that. Sebastian in Ogden, what do you think?
I think we need to leave open both microphones when they are talking. I ran for mayor in Ogden City in 2015 and for city council in 2021. And anytime we leave the microphone off, anyway, I think if we need to know the candidate, we need to know if it's respectful or not. And if we can keep this kind of candidate respectful, that will be the great.
Respectful, Sebastian, without the help of the microphone muter. Is that what you're saying?
No, I said leave the microphone on.
Right. Leave it open. Leave the mics hot.
Leave
Okay.
it open.
All right, Sebastian. Thank you so much. Hi, Pete. How's Ogden?
Hello. How
We
you
were
doing
talking about
tonight?
Ogden earlier today.
Yeah. Hey, I remember high school debate class,
Yeah.
debate competitions. We had time limits. That's why reading the mic's important. Keep people in their time limits. So if it's going to be a discussion, like Oprah Winfrey or something like that, they definitely have the mics open to air their differences of opinions. But if it's going to be debate, they should follow debate rules.
I love that, and I think we have trained kids in high school of how to debate, the proper way to debate. But there are also a lot of rules in place during debate competitions. If you've ever been to a debate competition or seen one, there are very strict rules of what you can and can't do. And I think when you don't have the spectacle of the open mic, and that's what it turns into, a spectacle of who can speak over the other person, then you really boil it down to the policy and what the person has to say. And we have to be able to listen to it. And that, I think, is more telling than whether or not you interrupt better than the other guy.
I suspected that something was going to bubble up, whether one or both candidates made, a decision to stay in the debate for September 10th or not. I didn't suspect that it would be a hot mic issue. And that's exactly what is potentially derailing the debate in September.
And quite honestly, Debbie, I am shocked at who is pro open mic and who is pro muted mic. I thought Trump would want the open mic to be able to slip in his jabs, because that's what he's very good at. He's good at slipping in jabs and interrupting and throwing somebody off. And I thought Kamala Harris would want to say, I'm speaking, my turn. So the old switcheroo was a shocker to me.
We'll see how it shakes out, whether they can come to terms on hot mic moments during the debate or not. But as of right now, it does seem to be, a bone of contention between the two candidates as to whether they'll go forward, whether they kill the mics or they leave them hot.
And they would probably take opposing positions no matter what the case is. It feels like they're being contrarian for the sake of being contrarian.
Straight ahead, we've got a unique approach to a statewide cell phone ban in schools on tap. A Utah lawmaker joining the show in about 5 minutes with his pitch.
We've just seen the negative impact that cell phones have on the learning environment and on students' mental health and on teachers' ability to effectively teach.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour, Utah lawmakers sharing more about his proposal to ban cell phones in schools. Senator Lincoln Fillmore tells KSL at Night the bill would not allow kids in any Utah school to use cell phones during school hours, but would allow for local districts to make exceptions if they choose.
We feel like we need to take the step to make the default position no, but still leave room for local schools and local school boards to make that decision.
If lawmakers sign off, the rule would take effect about a month before school starts next year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Israeli military says it's rescued one of the more than 100 hostages still being held captive in Gaza. The hostage is 52-year-old Qaid Farhan al-Qadi. He's been reunited now with his family. He was taken hostage from a Bedouin community in southern Israel. Spokesperson Daniel Hagari with the Israeli military says al-Qadi was rescued from a tunnel in Gaza. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now, 65 points. The NASDAQ down about 12. And our KSL weather looks like another beautiful late summer day. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
That precious cool air inside your house shouldn't be seeping out through old drafty windows, but if it does, get stylish new windows and frames at factory direct pricing from Advanced Window Products. This is Jeff Kaplan. Advanced Window Products has been building windows here in Salt Lake City for 38 years. But even if you don't need windows, they can give your interior a fresh new look with blinds, shades, and shutters from Graber. They offer custom crafted window treatments featuring the trendiest designs, premium materials, and quality without compromise. Advanced Windows offers start-to-finish service with shorter lead times so you get your custom blinds, shades, and shutters sooner. Call them for a free in-home consultation with their designers. It's a no-pressure experience, and if you need new windows, $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Or if you need window treatments, it's Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindowsusa.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, the good news is most of the crashes have cleared out, so traffic is returning to normal northbound I-15 from Spanish Fork to Springville and again through most of Lehigh. If you're southbound I-15 out of Davis County, we still have one vehicle over on the right shoulder near Warm Springs Road, and traffic is slightly below the posted speed limit through there. But all the speeds have returned to normal in the Salt Lake Valley. You just have to contend with all those construction orange barrels everywhere. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny with highs in the mid-80s through the next couple of days, and highs warm back into the 90s for the weekend. Right now, 70 degrees and sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. The future of Utah's schools. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
And that future may be that your kiddos don't bring cell phones to school. There's really a unique approach to a statewide cell phone ban that Dave and I are going to talk about in our schools. And we're going to get the Utah lawmaker who's pitching this to join the show in just a few minutes. In fact, he's waiting on the line. But let's set the scene. I look at this and I listen to the KSL at Night interview with Representative or Senator Lincoln Fillmore, and also read through the news release. And it seems to me that this is kind of like a negative option plan. And let me explain, Dave. What lawmakers would do is ban smartphones in schools, and then it would be up to a school district if they want to opt out.
I love this idea. I have been a huge flip-flopper on this. I don't know what to do. Now, my initial reaction was, parents, do your parenting job. Take your kids offline while they're at school. Don't text them in the middle of class, which I'm totally guilty of. But I've realized this is such a problem for every single parent, for every single kid. Let's just have a policy in place that bans cell phones. They don't need them, and it's a hassle to have a million different policies district by district. I'm at least for right now, I'm totally on the side of ban cell phones statewide.
State Senator Lincoln Fillmore, it sounds like your plan is essentially lawmakers would be taking one for the team here and be the bad guy, and then allow districts and parents and school boards to get together and decide if a ban works in their schools or not, and opt out. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yeah, Debbie and Dave, thanks for having me on. And Debbie, yeah, that's right. Part of the reason to do this is so the legislature can be the bad guy. And then it puts local school boards and teachers and parents in the process of working together to determine what is the right policy for our school when it comes to cell phones. Do we want to allow teachers to use them in class for Insta-polls and instant assessment? Do we want kids to be able to use them during lunch? Those are decisions that local districts ought to make, but they ought to make them in a thoughtful way. And in the absence of thoughtful, proactive policy, we're just going to say no cell phones until you go through that process.
I love the line you gave in this press release. It said, this is so that teachers can focus more on teaching and less on being the cell phone police. I love this idea of letting teachers do that. But I'm not entirely certain, like practically speaking, kids are still going to sneak in their phones. They're going to try to push boundaries. Aren't the teachers ultimately still going to have to enforce this?
Well, part of the problem and what turns teachers into cell phone police is inconsistency across the state, across districts, and even in schools, right? Some districts have current policies that say teachers can take them out of their class if they want to. That makes the teachers the bad guy. In some school districts, it's the principal who says we're going to get rid of this at our school, which makes the principals the bad guy. What we see, Dave, as this is rolled out in different states across the country as schools are experimenting, is the opposite of what you suggest, right? So I was at Granger High School yesterday to announce this, and Principal Howe, the principal over there, talked about just the difference that this has made in only 9 school days since school started, that he reports that teachers tell him we have never gotten through this much material this fast because the kids just aren't distracted by their phones. And he also talked about how, on the first days when he was in his office, it was just so noisy at lunchtime to the point where he complained, wow, it's really noisy in here. But then realized why. Because now all the kids are sitting down and talking to each other instead of staring at a screen with earbuds in. And it makes such a difference to kids' mental health when they can socially interact and when they're not distracted in school and when they're not constantly FOMOing on their phone to try to figure out what they've missed from, whatever influencer they're following on social media.
You're using lots of big words here, Senator. Senator Lincoln Fillmore live on the line talking about FOMO, and I get it. And the reason you're talking specifically or for context about Granger High and the difference that the principal is seeing is because the Granite School District did take action and restricted cell phone use at all grade levels. And it sounds like it's really working in favor of education at Granger.
Yeah, it really is. What we see is the learning environment is less disrupted. That's good for teachers. It's good for students, both educationally and socially.
You were mentioning earbuds, and I will say this. My son, senior, just graduated. He would sneak his AirPods in his ear and kind of cover it up with his long hair and listen to music. Do you have something in play for smartwatches, wireless headphones, in addition to the cell phones?
Yeah, that's addressed in the legislation that we're proposing. And again, until the districts go through a proactive policy, working with their teachers and parents to determine how cell phones should be allowed, that those would be barred also.
Have you? It's pretty early, and this in terms of proposal, and I know it coincides with the start of the new school year, but this would be come up during the next legislative session in early 2025. Have you had any pushback yet from anybody?
I'm really pleased at how much support we have, especially in the education community. Yesterday's announcement was joined by the state superintendent, by members of the state school board, by members of the Granite School Board, their superintendent and principal. So we do, as well as the policy project representing private philanthropy to try to provide schools some funding for this. I'm really pleased at the broad level of support. I know there's going to be pushback, but that's one reason to roll it out early so that we can find those issues and address the legitimate ones and have this ready to go in January.
We're speaking with Senator Lincoln Fillmore about legislation that's been proposed to essentially ban cell phones, smartwatches, AirPods in classrooms. There is a little tweak where the local school districts can adapt that if they so choose, but the default would be banning these devices. Now, are there exceptions in your legislation for people that may have valid medical concerns where they would need their phones?
Yes. It's written into the legislation to make sure that we're not disrupting students who need those for medical reasons. Maybe they check their insulin levels. All of those things are envisioned in the legislation, and exceptions are made.
Now, before I let you go, Senator, if my memory serves, past attempts by lawmakers or debates and discussions by lawmakers to ban cell phones in schools have not gotten off of Capitol Hill. Is my memory correct on that?
Yeah, last year, a bill that would have banned cell phones statewide failed. This is a different bill and a different approach. Again, what we're doing is really just changing the default. As it stands now, if a district fails to adopt a policy, then cell phones are literally unlimited in school. And we're just trying to changing that dynamic. So until they adopt a policy, cell phones are limited in schools. But we're still empowering local districts. We're encouraging them to work with their parents and teachers and students to craft the policy that's right for them, but recognizing that cell phones are dangerous enough that until that process is complete and until we identify how a cell phone should work in an education environment on a community-by-community basis, we're just not going to have them in schools.
Out of simplicity, we're talking K through 12, bell-to-bell ban?
Yes.
Well, we appreciate it. That's easy to remember. K through 12's bell-to-bell ban. I know a lot of principals have asked, even principals of high schools where kids can leave campus have asked for that as well, that very specific bell-to-bell ban. So, Senator Lincoln Fillmore, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Senator. Keep your ear to the radio because we're going to take live phone calls. You'll get a taste of how listeners are feeling about this. I know it's a ways off before it actually goes to the House and Senate floor up there on Capitol Hill, but let's take live phone calls in just a moment.
801-575-TALK. And listen, kids, if you're listening and you go to the top of the list, if you should be in school but you're secretly listening to the Dave and Dujanovic show, you go to the top of the list. I'd love to hear from students or maybe even recently graduated students of how you would feel about this. We're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Do you like this idea of a bell-to-bell ban in schools for cell phones, AirPods, and smartwatches?
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
One of the things I love about Master Electrical, number one, they've been around forever. I love that about Master Electrical. We've met with their owners before. Debbie, you and I sat down with Steve, and they talked about how important it is to serve the customer and their needs. And part of that serving their needs is this exciting news they have. They've joined Mountain Home Services to expand the ways they can serve you.
That's right. Master Electrical, to your point, been around since 1954, has teamed up with Mountain Home Services. So this is great for you because Master Electrical, of course, always serves your electrical needs. The recessed lighting, the ceiling fans, the outlets that you've needed replaced. Well, now that they've joined Mountain Home Services, they can help you with much more.
Yeah, your HVAC, your heating and air. They actually installed my furnace years ago. They've done the service over the years. They've done a wonderful job. I've been very, very happy with them.
And that comes, of course, with that upfront pricing guarantee and no hidden fees.
100% satisfaction guarantee as well. Check out Mountain Home Services. You can go to their website, mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or you can give them a call, 801-543-2222. Again, that number, 801-543-2222.
This weekend, labor will be the last thing on your mind. Before you head out to your favorite lake, lookout point, or campsite, make KSL your first travel stop.
We're starting off the afternoon already with emergency traffic.
We have you covered with Triple Team Traffic for the holiday weekend on KSL News Radio.
What would happen if you had instant access to your own coach and dietitian to help you lose that frustrating few pounds, the inches that are keeping you from your active and healthy lifestyle? Well, I'll tell you what happened to me when I tapped into my SOTA Weight Loss, SOTA Weight Loss Specialist. I lost 37 pounds in 90 days, and I have stayed at that exact weight for 2.5 years. So if you want instant access to those kind of results, go to sotaweightloss.com right now, click on the Request a Nutritionist callback, and within minutes, you'll have instant access, talking to someone who can help you get in the best shape of your life. You have heard me say it many times that when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, there's only time to win. So start winning today. No drugs, no fads, just a swift, safe, sustainable results, state-of-the-art weight loss. Check it out today at sotaweightloss.com, sotaweightloss.com.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
My wife and I always loved doing everything together. Jiu-jitsu, kayaking, and intimacy was always on point. It was around my early 30s when I noticed a downward trend. Watching a lot of TV, putting on weight, and just full of self-doubt. I had tried another men's clinic with disappointing results. It's the personalized treatment I receive at Revive Men's Health that has been the complete game changer for me. I've got my energy and motivation back, I'm feeling stronger than I did in my 20s, and it made me a much better husband to my wife.
I'm Eric Ramos, healthcare provider at Revive Men's Health. If you are always feeling tired or moody, have a difficult time sleeping, or decreased libido, you may be suffering from low testosterone.
Book your free T-check and exam at Revive Men's Health, Salt Lake City. Call 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a state legislator says his bill would allow school districts to make exceptions to a statewide rule banning cell phones in schools. Second, the Israeli military has rescued another of the hostages held by Hamas. Third, if you don't want burglars sizing up your home on Google Street View, you do have the option to blur that picture. 70 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic, the future of Utah's schools. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
We're taking your live calls. We just hung up the phone with State Senator Lincoln Fillmore on his pitch to ban cell phones in schools, and it's a unique pitch. It would affect, if it passes in the next legislative session, it would affect, public schools across the state of Utah. But the twist is, the ban would be a default. In other words, school districts could decide to opt out of the ban, but they would have to meet, discuss it, and come up with a policy to opt out.
The default is bell to bell, K through 12. Now, the K through 12 is an important part of this because high schoolers, a lot of times, will leave campus during lunch, or they'll have perhaps a CE course, or they'll go somewhere else for some other classes that are offered off campus. But the default right now, even for high school kids, it would be from essentially 7 a.m. until 2:30 p.m., you're not allowed to use your phones.
But a school district could then figure out a way that they want students to be able to have their phones, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea would be the ban's in place, the ban's the default, but then school districts would be able to come up with a policy that best fits their schools. So it would essentially force the hand of school boards and districts, teachers, communities, students, parents to come together and figure out what best works for their particular district. And that's where it does give local control. That's where this policy, or this, if it's passed, this proposal, this law, would give back local control. You just have to do the work to figure out what the best policy is for your area.
Do you like this idea? 801-575-TALK. I've been a flip-flopper on this. Initially, I didn't like the all-out ban. I thought we just need to teach kids how to use them effectively, appropriately. We've completely and totally failed. So I'd like to give it a shot. I'd like to say, let's ban it all. Let's give it a couple years and see if anything improves, because right now, test scores are down. They're down across the board. We're coming out of COVID. We can only blame the COVID slump for so long. I think we need to take a real harsh look at cell phones and give it a couple years and see if anything changes.
Senator Fillmore brought a report card from Granger High to the show, where the Granite District, where Granger High is. He said he was out there yesterday announcing his proposal. And in the 9 days since school started, the principal reported to him that the Granite District's restrictions on cell phone use across the district at Granger High is already netting results.
So I was at Granger High School yesterday to announce this, and Principal Howe, the principal over there, talked about just the difference that this has made in only 9 school days since school started. That he reports that teachers tell him, we have never gotten through this much material this fast. because the kids just aren't distracted by their phones.
It does not matter how dynamic of a teacher you are. You could juggle on a unicycle while handing out brownies, and you will not beat the cell phone. Kids will always choose the cell phone over whatever teacher is doing.
Hi, Brian. Hey, you have a child in the Alpine District?
I do.
Oh.
So I have had 4 kids. Last one is in the district, and I didn't hear the full segment before, but I've been hearing this for the last couple of days, and I think we should, at least for high schoolers for sure, be still trying to reinforce helping them to learn how to use technology. They're going out into the work world have rules about cell phones maybe, but like it's too important to prepare to be in touch with their kids sometimes and just be able to actually learn how to use it.
One of our texters, and thanks so much for your call, Brian. One of our texters texted this in at 57500. What happens if our kids don't have their cell phones and a threat walks into the school? In other words, an active shooter. And this goes back to a conversation, Dave, while you were off last week that I had with Taylor Morgan, who was filling in for you, and also the Weber School District, which has implemented panic alarms that teachers wear around their necks. We also spoke to the chief sponsor of the legislation to mandate panic alarms on teachers that they have with them at all times in case there is a threat or some sort of medical emergency. And those systems are getting ramped up. Now, it may take some time, but in the process of discussing this, we also learned that there's a lot of schools where cell phones, quite frankly, don't work anyway.
Oh, 100%. My wife works in an elementary school. It is a dead zone. She might as well be at the core of the earth because there is zero chance I'm getting a hold of her with a cell phone signal. There, yeah, it is a dead spot.
But leaning into parents' concerns, look, I had kids in public school as well, and the active shooter drills were kind of becoming a thing when my kids were in school. And I know that them having a cell phone did give mom and dad a little peace of mind. So I sympathize with that.
Jana in West Jordan. What do you think, Jana?
I think elementary and junior high should absolutely be banned. The formative years, absolutely. I've been a substitute teacher, and I also have a son that was permitted cell phone in his junior high and into high school.
Okay.
And he learned nothing. Trying to go to college for him was impossible because he didn't know how to study.
So he was on his cell phone the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much.
And it sounds like not doing schoolwork on his cell phone. Just you're saying he distracted?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
And some kids say they think you walk up to them and they go, "Oh yeah, I'm on this or that," but you see them flip.
Oh yeah.
No,
they are pros at deception and workarounds. Obviously, I've had a steady stream of kids in high school because there's been some discussion of whether or not you should ban it in high school because kids are leaving campus, maybe more flexibility in high school. I would argue that in high school, this is where the most egregious abuse is happening of use of cell phones, where kids are using them to cheat left and right. There's an outrageous amount of cheating that is happening during the school day using cell phones, and I think that would help mitigate some of those problems. I think kids can go 7 or 8 hours without a cell phone and still learn how to use it appropriately elsewhere. I don't think we ought to heap that on teachers right now and say not only do you have to teach them reading and arithmetic, but you have to teach them how to appropriately use a cell phone as well. There's plenty of technology in the classrooms right now. They have access to iPads. They have their own computers. They don't need their cell phones to flip through their Instagram feed.
On our text line, I just want to read this. I want to bounce this off you. You speak about workarounds and how kids manage to escape bans. Our texter says, nephew told me he puts his old phone in the bag and keeps the one he uses in his backpack.
Yeah, 100%.
So for schools that have already banned cell phones,
Yep.
Somebody just texted in and spilled the tea that students are finding workarounds on current bans that schools and districts have adopted in some areas of the state by putting an old phone in the bag that you've given them to lock up their cell phone for the day, and then they keep the old one in the backpack.
They're more devious than we are. They are so tricky.
Straight ahead, Dave wants to talk about the death of cash. Half of Americans by next year will not be using cash during a typical week.
Zero cash usage.
You know what? I took out $40, two $20 bills from the ATM about 6 weeks ago. Guess how much of that $40 I have left? How much? How about if I tell you next?
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. We have breaking news out of Atlanta. At least 2 Delta Airlines employees have been killed in a reported explosion inside one of the airline's maintenance facilities. And this is inside the Atlanta airport. ABC's Faith Abube is on the scene with the latest.
From the preliminary information, what we can say at this point is that around 5 o'clock this morning, there were calls to the police department and the fire department to respond to a Delta Technical Operations Maintenance facility here on the Atlanta airport grounds. There are 2 people who have died. A 3rd person is injured.
Here in Utah, 8 people in Utah have drowned in boating-related accidents this year, which is 1 more than average.
85% of folks could have been alive and made it through alive if they would have had a life jacket on.
Ty Hunter, with the boating program manager for the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation, says even strong, experienced swimmers should be wearing a life jacket when they're out on open water. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 88 points, down 88 points on the day. The NASDAQ is up, but just by about a point or so. And our KSL weather, beautiful, sunny summer days. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
The best things in life, they come in 2s. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in 2s. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. 2nd and 3rd month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards that zero-turn lawnmower you've always wanted. And after using its edge-shaping technology to meticulously sculpt the face of the Mona Lisa into your grass, you'll become the undisputed king of Saturday morning lawn care, leaving your neighbor and sworn enemy Gary to question his place in the delicate neighborhood ecosystem. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Hi, Utah. This is Congressman Burgess Owens. My district office is here to help with federal agencies. Our team can be the bridge between you and the D.C. bureaucracy, ensuring your concerns are heard and addressed. Need help with Social Security, veterans benefits, or passports? Call 801-999-9801 or visit owens.house.gov. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Someone asked me, do you know how many devices the average home has connected to their Wi-Fi network? It's way more than I thought. I actually went home and counted how many connected devices I own. More than a dozen! All to keep me connected to my good stuff, my streaming, my gaming, all my interneting. Xfinity knows the number of devices we connect to our internet is growing by the year. That's why they engineered their gateways to handle hundreds of connected devices. Hundreds. For real. Now through September 21st, new customers can get Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 2 years when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data. Plus, get Peacock Premium, a $7.99 monthly value included. Make sure your home Wi-Fi can handle everything you throw at it, and then some. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store to switch today. Xfinity. Bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity Gateway. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
All right, football fans, it's time to tackle blood shortages.
How can I help out?
Call ARUP Blood Services to donate.
You don't have to be a Cougar, Ute, or Wildcat. Just a UtahBlood.org fan. Help ARUP tackle Utah hospital shortages. Local patients need you to donate. Plus, there's all kinds of cool things ARUP has to thank you. Amazon gift cards, a rowing machine, a drone, spirited teas, a smoker, a barbecue, and a paddleboard. Team up to tackle blood shortages this August with ARUP.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, things are moving along much nicer all across the Wasatch Front. No delays I-15 throughout Utah, Salt Lake, or Davis counties, northbound or southbound. You are going to run into construction barrels on a lot of the roadways, including Legacy Parkway, US 89, and a lot of the city streets, but right now not seeing a whole lot of delay and no accidents reported. Receive 0% for 5 years on the 2024 Tucson or Elantra. When you walk through the doors, you feel like family at Murdoch Hyundai in Logan, Linden, Murray, or online at murdochhyundai.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny with highs in the mid-80s for the next couple of days. Highs warm back into the 90s for the weekend, and right now we're looking at 72 degrees with sunny skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Just want to give you a little more details on the tire explosion that Dan was just reporting on with the help of ABC News. It happened at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport earlier this morning. And of course, a lot of Utahns have close ties to Delta because we have a hub here. But it was a tire explosion from what we know. It killed one Delta employee. It injured another Delta employee. And it also killed a contractor. And it happened, Dave, at the maintenance facility at the airport, which is connected to the airport. And at this point, it doesn't seem to have interrupted airport operations themselves. But what a sad situation, just a tragedy.
And this reminds me, about a month ago, American Airlines, they were taking off or landing, and they had two tires blow out on the land. And you had video of that, and you could see the explosion, and it didn't crash the airline, but this is the second incident involving a tire with an airliner. Now, if you're trying to think, okay, well, what is it? How big is an airline tire? It's not a semi-tire. It's not that large. It's a little bigger than, say, a truck tire. So a big truck tire is about 24 inches. The airline tires are 27 inches. What makes them unique, and in part why this was so dangerous, is they are steel reinforced polymers. They're very thick. What stood out to me was they're inflated to about 215 psi. 215 psi. Your car is 40. Your truck tire is 50 maybe, and this is 215 psi. So there's a lot of power, a lot of
tire pressure
in those. So if there is an explosion, you can imagine it must just be devastating. And obviously with the loss of these two lives, it was.
We'll continue to track developments on that story throughout the day with the help of our producers and reporters.
Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
What is going on with cash? Because it seems like it's getting rarer and rarer nowadays to find a place that accepts cash as payment, or for me to even be bopping around town with cash in my wallet, quite frankly.
My kids despise cash. In fact, if they get some birthday money cash, they just straight up hand it over to me, and then I have to Venmo them That's what it got. That is like standard operating procedure in the Noriega household. My kids don't want to touch cash. They want to have nothing to do with it.
So we saw a story that was actually a study that was put out by Bankrate. And we have them on the show quite a bit because they do a lot of analysis of what's going on with the economy and with our money. And this is what caught our eye here. The average out-of-network ATM fees have climbed to right around $5. So when I think of out-of-network, I kind of think of like my health insurance. If I go out of network to see a specialist, I get dinged for more money that I owe, that my insurance pays less. And so this is the same kind of concept with what's going on with the ATMs. And this is why I never get cash if I go out of network, because my bank, which is just, 3 minutes from my house, they don't charge me a fee if I roll up to the ATM, roll my window down and take out $40. I think this is one of the reasons, and it may sound like a small amount of money, but let's face it. If I know I'm going to be like in Vegas and I ran out of cash, if you know what I mean, and I need $40 to get by, I'm like, oh, there's a $4 charge for that. For some reason, that bugs me. But I think we're seeing more and more, probably more so, is studies like this from Capital One that says almost 52% of Americans by next year say they will not be using any cash in a typical week. 52% of Americans say by next year they will not be using cash in a typical week.
That is such an enormous number. A little bit shocking. Maybe because I love cash.
Oh, you do?
I'm one of the few guys that still,
You're old
I'm that
school.
49% that still loves cash. I do use a card, but I got in trouble with cards. I am not what you'd call trustworthy with the family debit card. I swipe it and I'm like, this is free money. My wife has no idea I'm buying this. So we moved Dave Noriega into cash only. Like, here's your cash. Spend it how you want it.
You walk around with it in envelopes, or how does that work?
Yeah, no, I totally do. I have actually a food envelope of cash, and that's what I can use.
So
and if
you
it's
go
gone,
to the
it's
grocery
gone.
store and you have a
Cash.
little tiny wad of cash. And it also probably keeps you on budget.
That's the key. It keeps me on budget. And if I only spend $20 today and I want to spend $40 the next, it's fine. It's the best way I've found to stay on budget because there's like an emotional attachment to cash, and handing it over to someone else, that there's something to that. Now, you swiping your card, and they've done studies on this. If you use a card versus cash, you will always spend more money with a card. That is settled law. That has been around forever. And we know that. The problem I have, and this is what I really want to address, these businesses that are refusing cash, something's got to be done about it. Because the Utah Jazz do it over just across the street.
You mean something's got to be done about you?
No. No, I'm not the problem. I've got cold, hard cash. If I bring cold, hard cash to the table, you should be obligated to take my money.
See, in my mind, I was just like Dave Noriega. I just thought I was in love with the cash. But here is the true measure. About 6 weeks ago, I swung on through the ATM at the bank. Roll down the window, little Taylor Swift blaring, lean out the window. I put my card in the ATM. I take out $40. I'm like, ooh, big spender, right? I still have, of that $40, $18 in cash left in my wallet. For some reason, unknown to me, I have leaned into what the young people are doing, which is I use a credit card. And then I pay it off every month. And I get the little cash reward for using that credit card. I dump, a few bucks every month into my savings account. I'm like, see, there's a little benefit to me for using my credit card. But Dave, I'm not missing an era gone by where I walked around with wads of cash in
big
envelopes.
fat wads of cash. Okay, does this change anything for you? You and your love for your credit cards and debit cards and swipey and insert chip and tap here. Does it change it all for you to know that they are charging you an additional 2 to 4% at the store for everything you buy?
Yeah, it bugs me.
Because they have to pay 2 to 4% on every single transaction, and they're just passing that on to you.
Yeah.
So
it's called capitalism.
Yeah, it's called ripping money out of my account. Yeah, you're paying more. You're paying 2 to 4% more on everything because of your love for card. Now, I got to take phone calls. Okay. I want to know if anyone else is as bugged about this as I am. I think something should be done about it, quite honestly. I'm not joking about this. There should be a mandate, a law, that if I have cold hard cash and I bring it to your business, you are obligated to take my money. You are obligated to take my money. 801-575-TALK. Do you agree with me? Where if you bring in your $100 bill and they're like, oh, we don't take hundreds here.
Okay, George Washington.
Right. I'm rolling with my Georges. I want to know, do you agree with me, 801-575-TALK, that businesses should be required to take my cash? 801-575-TALK.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
You don't have soft water in your house unless you purchased it consciously. You made the decision to invest in a water softener, because what comes into your home naturally is just regular hard water. And Utah has some of the hardest water in the entire country. It's brutal. You've seen it when you take a shower and you have these hard water stains and build up and you need a jackhammer to get it clean. It's been a disaster in our families. So that's why we called Connecticut of Utah and said, hey, guys, will you walk us through the importance of having soft water in our house? And that's exactly what they did. They came out to our house. They showed us, hey, look, you see it in your laundry, your dishes. They pulled out one of our dishes and it had spots all over the dish. He's like, these are hard water spots, and all these expensive chemicals you're using to try to get your dishes clean and get those spots off your fork and your spoon is taken care of with soft water. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. When we had our Connecticut water softener installed, we saw a huge difference in our cleaning, the softness of our clothes. When we did our laundry, our skin feels phenomenal with soft water. We've loved it. So if you're interested in getting soft water into your home, give Connecticut of Utah a call, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Connecticut dealer, or you can check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
A secure retirement just doesn't happen by accident. When that day comes, what's most important to you? Are you sure to have more money than month? What about unexpected medical costs? Do you want to leave something to the kids or the grandkids? I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know we specialize in these questions and can help make your retirement dream a reality with some of the highest guarantees in the business. Imagine getting up to a guaranteed 12% growth on your retirement income and up to a 30% bonus up front just for opening an account. If you have funds sitting idle in an old 401k or IRA, consider guaranteeing it to secure the peace of mind you deserve. Don't leave your financial security to chance. Take advantage of the highest guarantees I've seen in my career. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600. Or visit us online at TrajanWealth.com.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Everyone on the road is trying to make it to their destination safely. You can help by staying aware of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, 2 workers at a Delta Airlines maintenance facility in Atlanta were killed in an explosion this morning. Second, it's been a rough year for boating-related drownings in Utah. And third, the town of Helper bringing in heavy equipment to help in the cleanup after flooding there last weekend. Right now, 72 degrees and sunny. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Right on the money. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
So we're talking about what we think is kind of a preview of the death of cash. There's been a lot of studies done on this, and one that really stood out to me is that Capital One has done some research on this, and they said by next year, almost 52% of Americans who go out and buy things, so consumers, will not use cash in a typical week. And I'm living proof of this. This is already happening in my wallet. I took out $40 in cash at the ATM about 6 weeks ago, and I just happened to look, Dave, a couple of days ago at how much I had left. $18 was left.
You spent a whopping $22 over the last 6 weeks.
I'm leaning into credit cards. Frankly, I have learned I've become prolific at Venmo. My next move will be Apple Pay. Look at me. Here I am, 57 years old, and I feel like y'all, like Dave, who are using cash, are old school.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You're extinct. Get done. I will say I've loved being a cash guy. Now, do I make most of my purchases with a card? Yeah. I'm like the rest of you, but I do love cash. In fact, the family food budget, I do the shopping. So I always use cash because it helps keep me on budget. Otherwise, it is Oreo City, folks. It is Oreos and Chips Ahoy and Starburst. I get all this stuff. When I have cash, I have an emotional attachment to it, and I stay on budget.
But you're bothered when you walk into places and they say, oh, your cash is no good here.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah, only accept credit cards.
In fact, something should be done about it. I don't know if maybe there should be a law that if you have a business, you are required to accept cash.
Yeah.
Taking your phone calls, let's start off with Bryce in Springfield. What do you think, Bryce?
Yes, I have an unconditional love for cash. I tried to evolve, Debbie. I really did, and I got scammed. And I said never again. I said I will. For me and my family, we will always carry cash. And when we run out, we got to go to work and make more money and put more cash in our pocket.
Bryce,
and when you have cash,
I hadn't even thought about that with the scam. That totally protects you on the scams. Like you're not going to take a bag of cash over to somebody. That's an incredible point. Thanks, Bryce. That's a good one. Mitch in West Jordan. What do you think, Mitch?
I think that cash should be accepted everywhere, but if I leave my wallet somewhere, cash is, falls out. I can't just cancel the cash. Anybody can pick that up.
True.
Yeah.
But if you got the card, you can cancel that.
Crazy about that statement, Mitch, totally true, is I'm usually the one that loses the cash. I never happen to be the one to stumble along and find cash just randomly laying on the ground. Hi, Deb. Debbie from Ogden.
Hi.
Hey, what do you think about cash? You use cash only? Or are you a Venmo or a credit card person?
I'm getting back to the cash, 100%.
Really?
I've gotten out of debt twice using the Dave Ramsey plan, where you just use cash and you put it in envelopes, and I've gotten into debt again. And I think it was the pandemic that trained us to use credit cards. I think it absolutely affected everybody. Yeah. That's what I got into again, and. Anyway, yeah, I'm carrying cash again.
Well, you go and get that debt paid off, and keep in touch on how that's going for you. But I'd agree. I think we went more cashless during the pandemic, and that's pretty much when I had to start really buckling down and figuring out this Venmo thing, PayPal and such.
Let me see if I can win you over. Again, the reason we're talking about this is because Bankrate did some research and how much ATM fees have gone up recently. It costs about $5 on an ATM transaction. So if you want $20, boom, it's going to cost you $25. And those have, and sometimes you'll get hit coming and going.
Is that like a 25% surcharge?
Yes. It's a monster. It's a monster.
Mathless Deb just did the math.
You just nailed it. Yeah, that's exactly what it
Wow.
is. Like it's abysmal. Now, if you take out 100, it's a 5% surcharge. But all right, here's the point. You'll get hit coming and going. So you'll get the ATM fee. Sometimes your bank has an additional fee if you draw out of network. But here's the point I want to make. Bankrate also said, how much more are you spending when you use a credit card versus cash? Are you ready for this, folks? You will spend 160% more on a credit card if you're used to just swiping versus cash.
That is 100% spot on, and I'll give you an example. I checked my credit card today, and I stay on budget, I think, and I use it frequently. I don't, as you know, as I just divulged, I don't use cash. I am $200 over budget on my spending.
Really?
Yeah.
200
using my credit card.
You've got $18 of cash just sitting in your wallet.
I am living proof of everything that we've been talking about on this show. So when Bankrate says you tend to spend more on credit cards, maybe that speaks to what Debbie from Ogden was just talking about. It certainly speaks to what I have been going through these last couple of weeks with my credit card.
I love Debbie's like, I got out of debt with cash, and then I went back into debt with the card.
All right, Todd, hi.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. How's West Valley today?
I have 2 points, and the second one's the most important. The first point is, if I go with nothing but credit cards, and I'm a conspiracy theorist, and they're tracking me, and they know my trends, and the proof of that is, when you go to a grocery store and they say, do you have a blank card? Could you enter your number so we can track your purchases? That's the first point. Here's the one for Dave. Reading the Federal Reserve note, it says this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private.
So they should be legally required, these businesses that don't allow me to use cash, they should be legally required to take it. You're saying that it says it on the note itself? I love that, Todd.
Take out your cash envelope and start reading that. Dave.
Start reading it.
Yeah, right.
Mike,
One more call.
What do you think? You got Mike in Ogden?
Yes.
All right, Mike. What do you think?
I'm 75 years old. I've never charged anything in my life.
Stop
ever.
it. No. Never?
Yes. Never. I've never used a credit card. I've never charged anything. I use cash or write a check. Now, some of these businesses don't take a check anymore. So I go to the credit union, I get out the cash, and I go buy it.
I love this. Mike, I would absolutely love to take a shovel and go into your backyard.
Are you ever ordered anything off of Amazon or offline?
No.
Oh.
I don't have a computer. I have a flip phone. I live the way I grew up in Bear Lake. My grandpa taught me never to charge anything.
I can almost guarantee you Mike is a billionaire.
That's awesome.
Mike is the richest man in Utah. We have no idea. Like I said, I want a shovel. I want 2 hours in your backyard. I will have stacks of cash and gold coins, I'm sure. Mike, thanks for the phone call. Thanks to everybody. I love it. Yeah, the death of cash drives me nuts. Got to do something about it.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, cleanup underway in the town of Helper near Price after a thunderstorm and flooding hit the town hard. Mark Montoya tells KSL TV the town's main street got hammered.
All of this area just was under like a good 4 to 6 inches of water.
The city will be bringing in heavy machinery to get debris out of the washes in town. The storm dropped golf ball-sized hail. The mayor says some roads will be shut down today so crews can work to clean out the mess. A registered sex offender now accused of using a cell phone to take video of a woman using the bathroom at Salt Lake City's main library. Jacob Allen Rye was spotted in the women's restroom, then approached by an officer who checked the phone and found the video. Court records also show Rye was convicted of lewdness earlier in the year. He's been booked into jail. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 workers were killed and another injured early this morning at a Delta Airlines maintenance facility in Atlanta. They were caught in the explosion of an airplane tire. The facility is at the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down 69 points on the day. The NASDAQ right now is up 5. And our KSL weather, sunny skies, mild temperatures. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Hi, I'm Nate Orchard, the mayor of Sac Lake City with Advanced Window Products.
And I'm Jake, the other guy. Are your windows old and inefficient and driving up your energy bills?
It's time for an upgrade. Our energy-efficient windows not only look great, but also help you save on your utility bills.
And right now, we're offering an incredible deal, $2,500 off when you purchase 10 windows or more.
That's right, $2,500 in savings to make your home more comfortable and energy efficient.
Plus, we offer a lifetime warranty on all our windows, so you can have peace of mind.
Don't wait. Call us today at 801-850-9100 or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free estimate. We also offer payment plans as low as $150 a month.
From our factory to your installation in 8 weeks or less. Call us today at 801-850-9100 or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free estimate.
Advanced Window Products, Utah's window experts.
This August, support your Utah Symphony by getting your tickets for top-tier entertainment at Maurice Abravanel Hall. See aerial artists and dancers on stage with Cirque Cinema Troupe Vertigo. Get swept to sea at Pirates of the Caribbean in concert. Experience iconic classical works like Vivaldi's The Four Seasons and Mozart's Requiem. Right now, you can get the best available main floor seats for $25 at usuo.org/on sale. All prices are subject to change depending on availability. Some restrictions may apply.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. One of my top priorities in Congress is addressing our crippling national debt, which has surpassed $35 trillion for the first time in American history. For the sake of the next generation's ability to achieve the American dream, Congress must take action to rein in our government spending and more efficiently and responsibly spend our federal resources. I'm working hard in Congress to craft policy proposals that lower our spending and deficits. On the House Budget Committee, we introduced our budget resolution for fiscal year 2025. According to the Budget Committee majority, this resolution proposes no new taxes, grows the economy over 3 times faster than the debt, balances the budget in 10 years, and much more. We've also passed through committee common sense legislation that would require transparency to the American people about the state of our nation's finances so big government can be held accountable. It is an honor to bring Utah's sound fiscal policy to Washington, and I will continue to fight for the American family as we seek to give our children a better economic future. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Make the most of your summer plans with triple rewards from Cyprus Credit Union. This July and August, use your Cyprus Rewards Visa card to earn triple points for every dollar you spend on gas and travel. That's triple the points for hotels, flights, at the gas pump, and more. This offer lasts from now through August only, so make the most of your Cyprus Rewards Visa or apply today at cypruscu.com.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Equal Opportunity Lender.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Well, we have a crash with possible injuries. This is in Provo, Dan. This is at University Avenue 2230 north, I should say. It is blocking all aspects of the intersection. So if you can avoid this intersection, it would be a good idea to do that at the moment. Business owners, make your customers feel like MVPs with smooth, safe, pothole-free parking lot, asphalt, or concrete surface repairs from GoPave Utah. Check them out at gopavutah.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
It'll be sunny with highs in the mid-80s for the next couple of days, and then highs warm back into the 90s for the weekend. And right now, we're at 74 degrees with sunny skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio. The race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
I know you were getting ready for the September 10th debate between Biden and Harris, but there seems to be some contention and a dispute over the mute button and whether mics during the debate should be hot or not.
Mics should be not hot unless it's your turn to talk. This should totally be kindergarten rules. Unless it's your turn to talk, nobody else is heard.
In part, these moments are why they came up with the not hot mic moments. In other words, mute the mics during debates.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mister. I'm listening to you. Wait a minute. You get the final word, Mister. Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. I'm not going to answer the question
Why would you answer that
because
question?
the question is the question is
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man? And a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
So,
Mr. President,
did you use the word smart?
This has not always been a problem. Like, President Trump is the greatest disruptor of debates in the history of debates. There's been nobody that has perfected it more. They can get under the skin of the opponent. They can disrupt their thoughts. He's been a pro at it. But he realizes there's benefits now to him to just keep his mouth shut and let the other people talk themselves into a corner.
Now, remember, we had a bit of this during the VP debate here between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence.
He said because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
no, but Susan, this is important. I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Yeah, let's talk about PAC in the court then. Let's talk about the PAC. Yeah, I'm about to. $400,000 a year.
he said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
See, I have no idea what they're trying to talk about because all I remember is I'm speaking. And it was frustrating because I really wanted to hear what everyone's plan is. So I thought it was a revelation. I totally support. I love the muted mics. Joining us right now, Jason Perry, the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah. You are neck deep in the Harris-Pence debate. Was there ever a discussion about muting mics?
So there wasn't at that time.
Well, in that debate in particular, but you may remember in that 2020, those debates that happened, you had the first debate, and this was the Commission on Presidential Debates that was doing that. You had the first debate, and traditionally, the microphones have not been muted. But after that first debate was when the commission recognized what was happening, and for the second debate, the muting rules were put into place. It's exactly what you were just talking about. So usually it's not been the case, but in that 2020 debate, after the first one is when this started. And so you see a continuation of it even till today.
Now, this is what seems to be the sticking point that may or may not derail the September 10th debate that's scheduled between Trump and Harris. I'm just wondering if you could just, Jason, for a moment, take us behind the scenes. Is this how negotiations happen with debate commissions and others that are planning on hosting debates? Is that candidates weigh in and say, well, I don't want that, or I do want that?
Yeah, so they do this, but not usually publicly like this. I'm just going to give you the behind the scenes for the vice presidential debate, which I got to oversee here in the state of Utah. What usually happens and what we did see in that debate is there are lots of things from the microphones, but you may remember there are things like, will we be sitting down? Will we be standing up? Who will walk out first? Who gets what dressing room? Where will their parties be? There's all these kinds of things that have to be negotiated, but usually that happens in the back room. And sometimes, so and the listeners, if you can't come to some kind of agreement, there's actually a coin that is minted for each one of those debates, and you flip the coin. And that's how you decide some of these key items when you don't have agreement. That's how it usually happens. But right now in the microphones, this has become a big sort of strategic discussion that appears to be playing out openly, both sides trying to claim sort of the high ground on whether you have the mics on or off.
This is the kind of insight we're looking from you, Jason. Every time you join us, I had no idea there was a literal coin flip on some of these decisions. That's outstanding.
Yeah, that's how you kind of come to some agreement. But right now you look at some of these things, say, hey, we could discuss this in private, or as we know, that sort of the agreement that was in place between the Trump campaign and the Biden campaign for the first debate was that the series would be with microphones being muted. I think right now you're trying to see a little bit of both sides trying to get some strategic advantage and making a lot about whether or not the microphone should be on or off. It's a little bit unique to see this particular item being so center stage.
What do you think the benefits are and maybe the downsides? Because Debbie and I have had this discussion of the benefits of having the muted mics and then the benefits of having a more freewheeling, back and forth open discourse.
Well, this debate on September 10th is a very, very critical debate for both of these candidates. And so you have what the candidates want, but you also have, and this was interesting, what their campaigns are hoping for also. Neither one of these candidates want to have one of those moments where you have like an open mic just gaffe that seems to be what takes over entirely. So if you go back to the 2020 debates, a lot of people felt like having the microphones muted led for a more substantive conversation, and we saw that in the first debate with former President Trump and with President Biden as well. The microphones were turned off, and you actually did get to hear the answers. And so those that are arguing on the possibility of muting the mics are saying, well, maybe it is a more substantive conversation, and if it's not such a distraction from the other side, it may be better for the debate. But of course, the Harris team right now is looking at this saying, hey, let's leave these microphones on and see what happens, because maybe Trump will say something.
So, Jason, as the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics, hot mic or not, in your view?
Well, yeah, my opinion is that you mute them. I've just seen them most recently from 2020 until recently. I saw how that first debate went in this election cycle, and I did feel like we got more from the candidates. We weren't so distracted. So that's probably where I come down. I'd rather have them open, but what I'd rather have, at least in my opinion, is more substance than sideshow.
I think part of what surprised me in this discussion is that it was Donald Trump that wants the muted mics versus Kamala Harris, who wants the open mics. What do you make of that? I would have thought that Trump would have wanted to be able to interrupt and interject.
Well, it sounds like if you kind of read the statements that are being put out, it's the Trump campaign seems to want the microphones to be muted. He's been as recently as today saying, I don't really care that much. I'd just soon have them on or off. I think his campaign is still saying, just keep the rules as we agreed to them. I think that's what you're going to hear them saying. But from the Harris campaign, even though when the rules were set for these debates a while ago, that doesn't need to control now, they were going to be muted. I think the Harris team is really saying, well, let's just open this thing up and let people see what happens. And so I think that's going to play out pretty well, but I think you're going to hear more and more from the Trump people saying, even if former President Trump is saying just leave them on, they're going to say the rules were set on this one. We had an agreement on this one, so let's just keep it that way.
Jason Perry, thank you for joining us from the Hinckley Institute of Politics.
Okay, so we'll be on Hot Mic Watch. That did not come out the right way. Hot microphone watch over the next few days.
We're only looking for attractive mics on this show. Any Michaels that are hot, you get to the top of the line. We're taking your phone calls now. Hot mics. Hot mics or not.
Let's just go to break.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's me again, and of course, I'm at the annual Fall Extravaganza at J&J Garden Center in Layton. And what a great time to buy. Right now, all containerized trees, all shrubs, and all perennials are 20% off. You heard me right. J&J's entire inventory of containerized trees, shrubs, and perennials are 20% off their regular price. J&J Garden Center definitely has the best products at the best price and most definitely the best service too. But don't take my word for it. Come experience J&J Garden Center for yourself. Take advantage of their incredible fall tree, shrub, and perennial extravaganza. Take the Layton Parkway exit, Main Street to Gentile, then west 2 miles. You've got to see it to believe it. You really do.
Country grown to your home. J&J Garden Center.
When the midday hunger pangs hit,
KSL's top story this hour.
make Utah's new news your lunch break companion.
Good afternoon, Maria. We do have delays.
Stay updated with in-depth reports on the day's biggest stories and updated weather. Utah's new news with Maria Chaleos. Weekdays noon to 1 on KSL News Radio.
Looking for a beautiful and functional upgrade to your home? 3 Day Blinds has you covered. At 3 Day Blinds, our free in-home design consultation makes it easy. A 3 Day Blinds design expert will help you find the window treatment solution that works best for your home's needs and style. We bring the showroom to you with loads of samples, giving you an idea of how different fabrics look in your home. Your designer also provides expert measurements and helps coordinate installation. Book your free in-home consultation by visiting 3dayblinds.com. Take control of your window treatments with Motorized by 3 Day Blinds. Whether you're at home or on vacation, you can operate your window treatments with the touch of a button using the 3 Day Blinds app. 3 Day Blinds has specialized in window treatments for more than 40 years, and it's the name people trust. At 3 Day Blinds, we have stylish and functional window treatments for any occasion. For your free custom same-day quote, schedule your free in-home design consultation now at 3dayblinds.com. That's 3dayblinds.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Look, I know news is coming at you all day long. Well, we make it so simple for you to digest your news with the 3 Things You Need to Know newsletter. It is truly the best daily newsletter to stay up to date on everything that's happening both locally and nationally. And you get it from us right here at KSL News Radio with our partners and our colleagues at KSL 5 Television. It's so easy to sign up. All you have to do is text the word inbox to 57500. Again, I get it every day. Dave gets it every day. Our producers get it every day, and we love it. So join us by texting the word inbox to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man was arrested at the main library in Salt Lake after using a cell phone to record women in the bathroom. Second, 2 workers died, 1 injured this morning after an explosion at a Delta Airlines maintenance facility in Atlanta. And third, cleanup underway in Helper, Utah, after flooding hit the town hard. Right now, 74 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
If you have gotten a speeding ticket in Ogden and wished, I wish the officer would have given me a warning instead. Well, this story is definitely for you. Even if you've driven through Ogden, this story is definitely for you. OPD has been working under an evaluation system for its officers that has rewarded an officer with a better evaluation score if they issue you a ticket instead of giving you a warning.
So you have incentivized handing out tickets. Now, where my mind goes is, why are we incentivizing handing out tickets? Is there some sort of quota out there? Are they trying to hit a number? Is this how they fund the government, is through my speeding tickets? So when I hear this, incentivizing tickets over warnings, it makes me a little suspect.
We're going to get KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas to join the discussion in just a moment with his take on this. Now, we had Lieutenant Will Farr from the Ogden Police Department join the show at 9:20 this morning because this was our top story today. It is our top story today. And we asked about changes that are in the works. And what was happening in the past, Dave, is that when police officers were being evaluated on a number of different things for performance, one thing that was happening is they were applying more weight. The department was applying more weight to a ticket or a citation than it was to if that officer decided to issue a warning. And here's what Lieutenant Farr told us about it.
We also understood what that perception looked like based on those weighted scores. And that's one of the reasons why Mayor Nadolski, along with our police administration, decided to go and look at a better way to make everything fair and equitable across the board, to where there was no perception that we were going to reward someone that had, say, a warrant arrest or a felony arrest or a citation or any of those things over giving a warning.
Now, this is a real problem. You're trying to quantify, you're trying to figure out, how do we measure a police officer? Are we going to say, hey, you hand out 1 million tickets? That's the same as doing some really in-depth detective work where you crack down on a drug ring. you have to be able to measure these things. But especially when it comes to speeding tickets, this did sound like it was incentivizing, that it was almost trying to hit a number or a quota.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas, thanks so much for weighing in on this. When we spoke to Lieutenant Farr earlier from the Ogden Police Department, I asked him, did police officers somehow receive a financial benefit for a higher score, and they could get that higher score by issuing a citation instead of a warning on their evaluation? He said no, that there hadn't been any financial benefit to police officers. My concern here is that, however, that type of system that they had in place, and they said they're changing it now, they're going to weight all of police activity equally. I'm just having a really hard time. If I got pulled over and gotten a speeding ticket instead of a warning in Ogden, I'm wondering, did I get that speeding ticket because that officer was looking to have a better evaluation score?
Yeah, and actually the Attorney General's office took a close look at that with Ogden City and sort of came out in favor of the police officers and said, well, they don't really have an incentive to do that. But the citizens, the people of Ogden, felt that they did. And so the chief, as you guys have correctly reported, has changed the system. And it's not really a financial incentive for the officers, but it is in some respects because it helps them in terms of their promotions. It helps in terms of their status within the department and gives them priority for certain things if they have more of these activities. But it used to be a citation was looked at more favorably than a warning. Now they look at 5 things: where you're serving a warrant, that counts; whether you're taking a report from an individual and filing and preparing a police report; whether you're going to an individual's house and doing what's called a field interview; the citation, like you talked about before, the ticket, and a warning. So those 5 police officer duties are now being weighed equally. So it doesn't give incentive to do one over the other, but it also encourages the officers to do more work because those are things that you would expect an officer to be doing in his or her daily activities. And the more of those they do, the better for their career and their promotions and whatnot.
So, Greg, how do you balance this, or how are police trying to balance this when they're trying to prove that they're doing police work, but then you have certain officers that are doing more investigative work that may take longer and maybe isn't as easily tracked as a citation or a field interview or a police report? Because I think we want to make sure that we're not de-incentivizing some real police work and in-depth police work.
No, you're right, because a lot of that does take a lot of time, and you could issue a citation in, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But going out and interviewing a person and getting a report done may take significantly more time than that. There's also the problem that the city, Ogden, and most other cities have a justice court, which thrives on money that comes in through their tickets. And so the mayor, the city authorities say, hey, why aren't we writing more tickets? It generates fees. And it's a real problem that law enforcement has throughout really the country is, hey, you've got to generate money to keep the city going and to keep the justice court flowing. But on the other hand, we don't want to have a quota system where officers are rewarded for writing more tickets. That doesn't make life very good for the citizens. So I think Ogden is doing a good job. I think their chief has incentivized work, but incentivized it on what looks to be a fairly equal basis in terms of the amount of work that's required for these 5 or 6 items that they've articulated as police work and things that count towards the amount of work that you're doing for the department.
I just want to go back to this focus, though, of citations versus warnings, and the individual who's driving along and gets the warning, but then the other individual who gets the citation. And to me, in the past, and they've changed it, officers did have some sort of at least perceived advantage, if you will, on their evaluation if they issued more citations, because they were given higher marks, if you will, over issuing a warning, Greg. And I know in the state of Utah, and they're going to say, and they've said this is not a quota system, but in the state of Utah, quotas are not legal for police departments, if my memory serves. So I just still am wrestling with heartburn for that person who drove through Ogden and got snagged with the traffic ticket and didn't get off with the warning. And I'm glad they've made this change. I think it's probably fairer to the public, given especially that the public perception was that this just felt wrong.
Yeah, but given the fact that now the chief has decided that a citation and a warning give the officer the same sort of credit toward the amount of work that he or she is doing during the day, it allows, Debbie, for more discretion now. You're stopping somebody for speeding, but they seem to be distracted. They're only 5 over instead of 25 over. Maybe you do issue a warning. And so it gives officers more discretion. And I think that's what officers like. They like to be able to have exercise discretion where in the field. They don't have to cite everybody. They don't have to arrest everybody. They don't have to give a ticket to every single person that they encounter. They can exercise the kind of discretion that helps the community, but still allows for them to perform their law enforcement duties and keep the streets and the public safe.
Greg Skordas, thank you for joining us, KSL legal analyst. And to your point, when you were mentioning how cities are really dependent on the money that is brought in, I was looking at reason.org, who's done some good research on this. In Utah, $60 million was brought in through citations. And countrywide, across the entire country, $9 billion in citations.
Let's continue the conversation. Share your speeding ticket story, or did you get off with a warning? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. Every one of us has had a speeding ticket story where we thought we should have gotten off with a warning. Share yours next.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. A man died in Roy after being hit and killed while crossing a busy street in a crosswalk. This happened at the intersection of 1900 West and 5600 South. Roy Police Officer Stuart Hackworth says several people who saw what happened rushed to the man's aid.
There was actually several individuals in vehicles that were headed westbound to a stop at the light that rushed to his aid immediately.
The driver who hit the man also stopped to help and cooperated with the investigation. Police say the man crossing the street with a walker appeared to have the signal to cross. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 workers were killed and another injured early this morning at a Delta Airlines maintenance facility in Atlanta. They were caught in the explosion of an airplane tire. This facility is at the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. Now, Google allows homeowners to make the pictures of their homes on Google Street View blurry if they choose. Now, whether that makes your home safer from break-ins and home invasions is up for debate, but police say criminals do sometimes use online tools to get intelligence about possible targets. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day 9 points. The NASDAQ is up right now about 51. And our KSL weather, sunshine, clear blue skies, and moderate temperatures. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the 9s, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
When I joined Salt Lake City Fat Loss, I was looking for big results. And anyone that has joined some sort of a program, that's what you're looking for, right? You want to see big results. And with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, they said they have the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day. Now, many clients will lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. In 2 months with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, I lost 57 pounds, and I did it without surgery. I did it without injections. Another important thing for me was I didn't want to do the prepackaged meals thing. I've done that in the past, and I just got sick of the food, and I wanted to learn the skills to eat in a healthy way without having to purchase their food all the time. So with Salt Lake City Fat Loss, again, no surgery, no injections, no prepackaged meals, no insane exercising routines. If you want to learn more, just go ahead and schedule that free consultation at slcfatloss.com. they'll be able to meet with you in person or virtually. Just go to slcfatloss.com.
This is Derek Overstreet of the New Millennium Group and host of Stop Working and Start Living Radio. If you're close to or in retirement and you don't have a tax plan, call us right now, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Listen, our country's been spending like never before, and the tax bill is coming soon. If you need an income tax strategy and a financial plan that will get you through the rest of your life, give my team a call, 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. If you want an investment plan that allows you to keep more of your gains and pay less taxes, give us a call, 888-999-6370. My team specializes in the type of plan that will get you retired 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible. So, get a no-cost tax analysis by calling 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. My team is standing by now.
None of these 7 people scored the winning touchdown in last year's championship game. None have gone into space or gone on tour with Taylor Swift. Yet 7 special people in the community deserve your attention. And September 7th at the Utah Valley Convention Center, starting at 6 p.m., you can give it to them. Join Community Action Services and Food Bank in celebrating the contributions of 7 extraordinary members of the community. Then see the premiere of the Food and More store, a pop-up giving experience you can only experience at this event. Plus, you'll have the chance to peek inside their new mobile food pantry. Dinner, live music, entertainment. Get details now on how you can be a part of this exceptional community night. Visit casfb.org and learn more about the evening, the individuals being honored, and how to be there to take it all in. casfb.org. Community Action Services and Food Bank, providing food and more to neighbors in need in Wasatch, Summit, and Utah counties.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Crash with injuries in Provo at University Avenue and 2230 North. The center of the intersection is blocked. All traffic is being diverted. And a crash northbound I-15 just south of Bangerter Highway in Draper. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny skies with highs in the mid-80s for the next couple of days. Highs warm back into the 90s for the weekend. And right now, 76 degrees and sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Ogden Police Department had a policy in place regarding its police officer evaluations, where police officers who issued citations got more points, or citations were more heavily weighted on an officer's evaluation than would be like a warning, which has sparked an entire conversation on this show about, the idea of a warning versus a citation. Now, they came on the show earlier, Lieutenant Will Farr, and said that policy has been changed, and now citations and warnings, like for speeding, for example, will be weighted equally on an officer's evaluation.
And part of the reason that would be so problematic, so let's just say this isn't how it runs, but just to illustrate the point, let's say you need 10 points in a day, and you're getting 2 points for a citation. Would you rather give out 10 warnings or 5 citations? Well, most of us take the path of least resistance and maybe don't want to work any more than we have to, so we're going to give out the 5 citations. That's the problem when you weigh them unequally. And I think we all have stories of when we received a citation where, like, this clearly should have been a warning. You shouldn't be giving me a citation.
I want to boil this down, and we did in the 9 o'clock hour, but I want to go in depth even more. We're going to also take your live phone calls, 801-575-TALK. When did you get a speeding ticket and you've thought, or any sort of citation, I suppose, you thought you deserved a warning? I think we've all been in that situation. at some point in our life where we're sitting there like the cops issuing us a speeding ticket. Like, I deserve a warning for this. Of course, you don't want to hold roadside court because we know that we don't want to do that. But I want to boil this down in the difference in our lives and the impact a citation has versus a warning. You get a ticket, you're going to court, most likely. You got to enter some sort of a plea. So you're dragged into court. Maybe you give up a day of work. Maybe it's a couple of days of work. You got to go through the process. I don't know about you, Dave, but when I got issued a ticket, I bawled my eyes out. So that was one emotional night of chaos. And it's not the only time I've gotten a ticket. And I've also gotten a warning. Thank goodness there was that one officer out there that gave me a warning. So the impact also on your insurance rates potentially. Mm-hmm. You get points on your license. Now, I'm not saying everybody deserves to get off with a warning. Certainly I see there's reasons to give people tickets. There's a time when I deserved a ticket, and I got it. But this idea that there was an evaluation system in place for police officers in Ogden, based on citations versus warnings, does not sit well with me because I think if you've been pulled over, the trickle-down effect or the domino effect getting a ticket has on your life compared to, hey, I'm just going to let you off with a warning. Just correct your behavior. And when I was let off with a warning before, when I probably did deserve a ticket, when I was speeding across the desert, the open desert, like I was in Thelma and Louise, right, in the movie, and a cop pulls me over, and I probably deserved a speeding ticket, but he gave me a break. And I was grateful. I was completely broke. Yeah. I didn't tell him that, but I couldn't have afforded to pay a ticket. And not only that, I would have had to return to the location, which would meant I had to, give up probably a couple of days to go back to court. So the impact that his warning had on my life was more of a positive impact because I'm like, I can't have this happen again. You can't risk this again. Thank you so much, officer. Thank you for giving me a break. Yeah,
that can be incredibly helpful. We're taking your phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Let's jump out to Tracy in Clearfield. Tracy, do you have a great experience or a horror story?
I was just going to let you know about a time I was in West Bountiful. I was coming up to a four-way stop. There was quite a bit of traffic. Did the stop, went through, and pretty soon a policeman was behind me. So I pulled over. He said, I stopped you. I said, no. I said, I know I stopped at the stop sign because there was so much traffic. He said, well, your front tires were on the white line. And so I'm pulling you over for that. And then he said, but you're not wearing a seatbelt, so I won't write you for that. I'll write you for not wearing a seatbelt because that was a secondary law at the time. But it just made me angry because I thought, I said, look back at the intersection. I said, everybody's stopping with their tires on the white line. And he didn't think that was very funny. But anyway, he wrote me a ticket anyway. So
did it ruin your day?
Yeah. I thought I even went into the station and talked to the police chief about it because I said, I don't think that's the right way to do police work. But he still wrote it anyway.
Well, Tracy, thanks for sharing your experience. Hi, Darren.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Do you have a citation or a warning story?
Well, neither. I have a concern. I keep hearing you guys say that Ogden, that the officer said that Ogden had this program in place. I didn't hear him say that. I heard him say that they never did that to help their officers, but the perception was that they did.
Yeah.
And so now he said that they've gone to a different program. So I just want to make clear that he said that they didn't.
Yeah. So he did. That is correct. He said there was no benefit, no financial benefit to officers from this. However, that the citations were given more weight on an officer's evaluation than the warnings were.
And what he was saying is at the end result, it didn't affect any officers. So everybody hit their marks doing regular police work. So it didn't really play into it. But there was no doubt that the citations were being weighted and valued more than the warnings. His conclusion was that it ultimately didn't affect anyone, but that being said, the perception was still there and their potential was still there, so they changed the policy.
So let me go back just quickly here to our earlier conversation in the 9 o'clock hour. And here is the mayor of Ogden's press release on it and his statement. Previously, officers received varying points based on different enforcement outcomes, with citations weighted more heavily than warnings. This led to a perception that officers might be incentivized to issue tickets rather than give warnings. Under the revised framework, again, this is from the mayor, all police activities, whether it's an arrest or a police report or field interview or a citation, are now weighted equally. So that is what the mayor stated from the article that we've read in the Standard Examiner. But thank you so much, Darren, for your phone call as well. And we'll continue our coverage on this throughout the day here at KSL News Radio. But, Dave, you've also been issued a ticket before.
Yeah, I was getting an old beater fixed up by my mechanic, and it had been sitting in my driveway for 6 months. And we finally got over to the mechanic. He fixed it up. I was driving it back. I got the emissions done. It was on a weekend, so I couldn't, get it registered. I'm driving it home the 1 mile. They pull me over and they give me a ticket. I'm like, this thing's been broken for 6 months. It's a weekend. I can't get a temporary registration. Can you give me a little pass? He's like, absolutely not. Boom, ticket. That bothered me. Like a mile.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
In a crisis, your number one need is food, because when things go sideways, it's always one of the first things to sell out. But if you wait to stock up, all you'll find at the grocery store are crowds of desperate people and empty shelves. That's why FEMA and the Red Cross say you need at least 72 hours of non-perishable food. But here's the good news. For Patriots, the trusted preparedness company is offering listeners of this station a special buy one, get two free deal on its best-selling 72-hour survival food kits. This new and improved kit has 20 servings of delicious food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all designed to last for 25 years. It sells for $29 and has been rated 4.4 stars by thousands of happy customers. But when you act quickly and buy one kit, you will get two more kits absolutely free. That's 3 kits for the price of one. $58 in free food. Go to freefood1.com. That's freefood1.com. This deal won't last. Go to freefood1.com now.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Throughout life, you go through many special occasions. Whether it's a prom, graduation, mission call, or the mark of an era, Mr. Mac has always been there to help serve you. Mr. Mac is multi-generational, family-owned, and knows what it takes to deliver top-quality modern styles and classic designs in unparalleled comfort with affordability always in mind. You can say that Mr. Mac creates friendships and long-lasting relationships with their customers for the next chapter in your life. 9 locations along the Wasatch Front or online at MrMac.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Approximately 10 million caregivers over the age of 50 still care for their parents. Not only does this impact their wallet, but also their time, loyalty, and health. Tailor-made senior advocacy and consulting is here to help. Founder and CEO Dr. Nancy Taylor shares more.
As a pharmacist and independent patient advocate, I have watched the need for healthcare advocacy grow. Take, for example, how 70% of working caregivers suffer from work-related difficulties, like that work-life balance, due to the dual roles that are thrust upon them. But it's not just the employees that experience the impact. Many employers do as well. At TaylorMade Senior Advocacy and Consulting, I like to say I'm in the hope business. I help people find and hold on to hope with confidence and control through group workshops and one-on-one guidance sessions. Our workshops are done in partnership with employers and organizations to better empower caregiver employees with solutions of hope, while our one-on-one guidance sessions help clients create that foundation of hope through the design and implementation of strategic personalized healthcare action plans. Start your journey with us and get your personalized healthcare action plan today.
TaylorMade Senior Advocacy and Consulting is here to help you navigate the intricacies of senior healthcare. For more information, visit their website, drtadvocacy.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Tim and Amanda.
Do I look forward to reporting the news? Yes, insofar as it helps me understand what's happening.
We know that it's important information that's going to impact people's lives, and so that makes the job of reporting the news that day easier.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man using a walker was struck and killed at an intersection in Roy. Second, 2 workers died when an airplane tire blew up at a Delta Airlines maintenance facility in Atlanta. And third, Google allows homeowners to blur the pictures of their homes on Google Street View to make homes safer from break-ins. 76 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic.
We brought Leah Murray in. Hi, Leah.
Good morning.
She's in today for Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 this afternoon. Leah, often a host of KSL at night and also the director of the Walker Institute of Politics and Public Service at Weber State University. And the headline that we are going to discuss is that Mark Zuckerberg, of course, the CEO of Meta, a.k.a. Instagram and Facebook, is saying that the Biden administration pressured his company to censor COVID-19 content.
It said repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. And part of this we've kind of suspected and known. I'm a little surprised that Mark Zuckerberg is coming out so strongly about this. He wrote it in a letter to Representative Chairman Jim Jordan of the House Judiciary Committee. Leah, how big of a deal is this? Help break it down for us. Like, why should the average listener care about this story?
Well, I think you always want to be concerned about the fact that the First Amendment might be, in jeopardy, right? So the reason why we have the First Amendment is we don't want the government being the only entity that gives us our information, right? It's like why we do what we do here at KSL, right? So the answer is...
It's at the core of the First Amendment.
Yeah, it is the core. You want a free press and you want free speech. So anytime it is the case that a government official, whether it's the president or our state legislature or anything, any government entity that's trying to tell us what we can say, what we are talking about. But I think what's really interesting in this one is they are trying to decide what information about COVID was okay to get out. And a little bit that concerns me because you don't want the government being the only entity that decides what information gets out.
But you also don't want to put out a bunch of misinformation.
Yeah, no, right? And I think that's the rub.
So no matter who calls, whether it's a government official or it's somebody in the public who says that information that you're about to report is flat wrong, isn't that room for pause to say, oh, let's check our facts?
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, right? Because what this is all wrapped up in a little bit is the COVID pandemic. And I want to just be fair to Meta. No one's dealt with that in social media, right? So that was a huge thing that was happening. And we hadn't really had social media in, 100 years ago when we had the Spanish flu. So it's really unclear. But, the answer kind of is, I guess during the Spanish flu, like I would want newspapers doing their own fact checking. Does that make sense?
But
And not having the government. Go ahead.
But
sorry.
Med is not a newspaper, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, that just brings in these all these layers of conversation.
Yeah.
But that's where I think it falls on me, the individual, of where I get my sources. Because, sure, I may trust this respected publication, whether it's the Times, the Post, the Wall Street Journal, our local papers, or I could read War Eagle / .this something, some obscure website, and that's my right. It's my right to believe some obscure conspiracy theory site and ignore all of the standard publications. That is my right to be able to follow that and to believe what I want to believe and not just what you allow me to read.
Yeah, and I think I respect your prerogative, right, to believe what you want to believe. I think the government was making a case during COVID. So I guess I would kind of do a parallel. I would argue it's my prerogative not to wear my seatbelt, right? I should be able to be in my car doing whatever I want in my car. But the government has pretty clearly told me when it comes to public health and your actions have consequences on other people, like if there's a car accident, you fly out of the car and you hurt someone else, at that moment we get to tell you what to do. So I think the weird intersection here was COVID as a public health crisis plus First Amendment media. Does that make sense? And so I think the Biden administration was leaning into the public health aspect of it. That, yeah, you have the prerogative to believe things, but if that results in tens of thousands more Americans dying, right, then maybe you don't have that prerogative as much.
A second layer to this from Mark Zuckerberg as he was announcing this was he talked about a separate situation where the FBI had warned about a potential Russian disinformation operation. This is in regards to the Hunter Biden laptop story. And he talked about how Meta had basically taken that story down from the New York Post. So it almost felt like this is I'm going to give you full transparency, some of the things that were going on. He didn't tie that directly back to the Biden administration asking them to. But at the same time, you can pretty easily see if the Biden administration is pressuring and I could even see it maybe even threatening, because there's been a lot of talk about breaking up big tech and breaking up Facebook, so there's a little bit of a guillotine hanging over their head. You can see where it all gets a little muddy and blurry when the administration is directly contacting Meta about stories they want promoted or taken down, and then you have the Hunter Biden laptop story come in from a respected publication, and then that thing disappears as well.
Yeah, no, and I love your point there, which is if the big concern is misinformation or disinformation, how would Meta have as much information as maybe the FBI about what is mis and dis? But even right there, what I'm going to say is you didn't ever want the government telling you what information is. Right. So then it's kind of on Meta to have said no. Right. And I don't mean to pick on Meta. Your point's well taken. But like media's got to push back always and say, we're not going to do this. Right. Ever. We're never going to have the government telling us what to print.
Leah, do you see this impacting the election at all? Becoming a talking point?
I don't know
forward?
the answer. I love that question. I feel like as I'm reading about it, it feels partisan. Again, it landed. You know what I mean? Like we are talking like just today we were looking at this and we're just paying attention to it. And I definitely think it's going to be something that Republicans talk about, right? Like they are going to raise that. But whether that persuades anyone, does that make sense?
But
like
this
I'm not
was
sure.
the Biden-Harris administration. This is not some random, far gone removed administration. This is directly the presidential candidate from the Democrats
That's
in her
right.
administration.
It lands better if Biden is still the nominee. Does that make sense?
Yes,
So I
yes.
could very reasonably, as Harris, be like, I wasn't in the room when those decisions were being made. I'm
It's
the
a
VP.
cop-out, though, right? I mean,
Maybe.
because you can't take the victories and the successes of your administration and then distance yourself from anything bad that happened as well.
But I love that. I think she's distancing herself completely. Does that make sense, Dave? Because
Not
I
from
don't
the
think...
victories, not from the benefits.
That's fair, but I'm not sure she sees a lot of victories, right? So I think she's very much going, decisions that were made, I wasn't in the room. I think you're fair. That's totally fair to suggest it's a cop-out, but it's a move she can make, whereas Biden would not have been able to. Like, this would have landed totally on him, which is why I'm not sure how it persuades independent voters.
Whether it matters or not down the road. But certainly makes for a great conversation. And honestly, you have to think through this. It's like I can see maybe Meta feeling that they had to lean in to what they were being told. I can also see, potentially if there's going to be false information or rumors put out on the site, that they'd be concerned about that as well.
And Mark Zuckerberg did say to Jim Jordan, Representative Jordan, he said, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to pressure from any administration in either direction, and we're ready to push back if something like this happens again. Which is, I think, an aha moment of we can't do this. Now, it feels like maybe a little too late. Like, it's nice for you to recognize this now. It would have been nice if 4 years ago you would have had this same epiphany, but it is absolutely essential that we are not dictated by any administration, by the government, what we can or can't read. And Facebook is the social media standard. And I think this is really an aha moment. You're right. Leah Murray, thank you so much. Look forward to Inside Sources today, starting at 1.